Come on, YouTube. Excellent connection until you don't like it. We've got another 10 minutes before your Skype bombs out. So.
I know, right? We're at the 25-minute mark.
Matt and Nick return to the Leakverse to talk about new details reported for the Book of Boba Fett and the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus series. They will also touch on a new interview from Kumail Nanjiani in which he sheds a bit of light on his Kenobi character, so expect some speculation to go down. For those who dig books, the team will also detail 4 new novels coming to flesh out some new canon for the Star Wars. Finally, the show will end with a special edition of the fan segment thanks to the SWTS Giveaway Challenge, whose winner will be revealed on the show. Fan responses will also be featured for the question of the week, and of course, the latest round of Top 5 featured Star Wars artists will be honored. Punch it, Chewie!
Hey now, everybody! Welcome to the Star Wars Time Show, E183. How about that? 183 of these stupid, hot take-filled episodes coming right at you, free of charge. Look at this. The live stream is packed already. We've got Johnny, we've got young Liam, and of course, Tones must not be working tonight because we see his fine blue wrench in the stream. Welcome, gentlemen. It's always great to have the diehards here early on to cheer us on.
Very nice.
Yep, no guests this week, so you're getting just unfiltered, raw Matt and Nick. I think that's what all of you like. Although, as I was sharing with Nick over the weekend, we had a great week last week in terms of numbers. So I don't know if that was Alex pulling some of that, or if Nick is right and truly it's just a time of the season where people are like, you know what, it's not so hot anymore. I feel like listening to these dickheads again. But either way, we have seen a great increase in listenership. Really, the past 3 weeks, it's gone up and up and up again. So I guess what I'm trying to say is if it doesn't go up next Sunday, I'm going to be back in, Matt Depressed land. So let's go. Keep it going. Keep driving those metrics up. We love it. Remember, I'm Tinkerbell here. I need that feedback, that support to keep me going.
Magical fairy dust.
That is my pixie dust. My fairy wings are a little limp right now, but they can get nice and strong and taut with the more love and support we get. So, YouTube, as usual, is yelling at us. We're sending too many KBPS at it at once, even though that makes no sense. But I think we're all right.
Too good of a feed. Our feed is too strong.
We'll just be waiting for Nick's new glitch, which I don't know if anyone has picked up on it yet, but let's say within the next 20 minutes, there's a good chance Nick may freeze for a few seconds and then call back in, because once he upgraded to Windows 11, his Skype only gives him about 30 minutes on the show before it feels like closing itself. And it even happened last week when we were talking to Alex, but Nick's such a pro now at hiding it. It just seemed like a glitch in the Matrix, and he was right back. So
I was ready to go. I was back before they even knew I was gone.
But yeah, it's I'm always happy to talk to Nick on a Tuesday. I think we've got some fun stuff to talk about this week. A lot of leaky stuff. I've got some personal stories. Other Star Wars people played with me in between the last week. It's like, wow, they finally talked to someone from the Star Wars Time Show. So, and it ties into some of our topics, but we'll get there. But before the Star Wars, Nick, I do have some things on my mind. Some shit, pop culture stuff that I got into over the past week since the last time we talked. Thank you, Tones, for the shirt. This is actually the Celebration 2017 official shirt, the one that was down at Orlando to kick off The Last Jedi, which, in some people's minds ruined the Star Wars universe. We didn't know it back then. We were just hanging out in Orlando in Florida. That was actually the first time, Nick, I saw the intern in person.
Intern.
we had just met, taking a master's course at Penn State over the fall, and by the spring, we were still bullshitting online. He's like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna come down there too and check out this Star Wars celebration. So there you go. But yeah, thanks for the shirt. This is not one of our Adrian action figure snap specials. I've had to dig into my own supply.
Rotate in some others, yeah.
I tried. I mean, I have
just a regular Star Wars shirt.
I mean, do you have a ridiculous amount of Star Wars shirts, or are you normal?
Now I do. Yeah. Now I do. It's gotten worse recently. There was a period of time when we were doing the podcast where I only had one Star Wars shirt, and it was just like a pretty standard. I think I got it from Disney, even like right around the time of the acquisition. And then now it's like I have all of Adrian's shirts, and then just others that I picked up along the way. Like I'll see one and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get that. I got Sir Dork's shirt is technically a Star Wars shirt because the Trooper itself is definitely Star Wars inspired. Yeah. Then I got Devin Super Scoundrel's shirt, which is the Mando Vice shirt. So I've been stacking up on them pretty well recently, and it is getting to a bit of a overload, you would say.
Yeah, a lot of mine initially came from Target, because Target they just have like a pop culture section, right? Where it's these days you probably could go get a Clorox bleach T-shirt at Target. Like any brand is game to be put on a shirt these days. But I also acquired a ton back in the day when I was into all those mystery boxes for Funko Pops. Okay.
Yes.
Because every Funko Pop box, be it Star Wars, and then I think they did a DC and a Marvel, you would get some item of clothing, and most of the times it was just a way too tight shirt of a Star Wars Funko Pop. So I have a bunch of those, and then Adrian. But yeah, I think I have enough to. I probably could wear a Star Wars shirt or a different one every day for at least. Almost, I'd say close to a month. I think so. I think close to a month. Yeah, I could whip Star Wars.
I'm solidly in the 2-week territory, so not quite that many yet. But I'm going to Disney again. Like I'm going to Disney in November.
That's coming up. Actually, that's creeping up on you here.
Yeah. So November is when I'm taking my journey back to Disney World. And when I'm there, of course, I'm probably going to pick up some sort of Star Wars paraphernalia, whether it be a T-shirt. We'll see about the new lightsaber. I know that we talked about that a while ago, but I'm under the impression that you can only get that if you're at the hotel right now. But I'm not 100% sure.
The like if you're recoil at the actual, one, like the tape measure one.
Yes. I thought that was only available.
Yeah, and I don't even
at the Halcyon Hotel.
I don't even know if they're selling it, Nick. I mean, I think. As of right now, it's just that's the only place you're going to see it. I don't know if they're selling it, but yeah, I mean, I get you. That's probably the one I'd want to shoot for too. And I still have dreams of doing that hotel. I know the sticker shock scared some people, but it seemed about Disney right to me. So it wasn't so much like, oh, look at the price. It's like, I don't want to deal with the process and the waiting. And once I get there, kind of being... It's like you almost have to conform to their schedule, right, Nick? It's like you almost follow an itinerary if you sign up for this hotel experience.
Yeah, like initially you're going to have that to where basically like the package that you see for that hotel does not include actual park tickets either. Like it includes your stay at the hotel and then you get into Galaxy's Edge from there. But if you want park tickets to like go to Magic Kingdom or any of the other parks in Disney World, you have to buy those separately. And I think that there is sort of like a small schedule that happens in place. Like there are shuttles that happen every so often.
It's like they want to
from the hotel.
And I guess it's probably good. So you do feel like it. To me, Nick,
it's almost like experience.
Right. It's almost like they're making you a part of the cast. You know what I mean? It's like when you pay to do this, you're not really going there to relax and kind of do things on your own time. You are becoming someone in the Star Wars universe. You're on a ship, a pleasure ship, trip, slip, dick, tips. I can't wait what's going on here. But I felt like it's like, day one, you do this, you go here, you go to this exhibit, this hall, then you look out your window into space. So I think you're right, where I would not, if you're doing this hotel or planning on doing the hotel, that's it. Unless after your stay, you then want to go do other Disney stuff. I mean, you are paying for this immersive experience. It's not VR. I mean, if you've done the ride, or is it Ride of Resistance or Rise of Resistance? Rise of Resistance ride. I'm imagining it's going to feel like it does, and Nick hasn't experienced this yet. So he will get it. And those of you that have, you know what I'm talking about. It's going to feel like that moment when you walk off of that shuttle ship onto the deck of a Star Destroyer and you look outside and it's like you're at the fucking hangar and it feels like you're on a ship, even though you know you're in a building. And I think that's what they're going for with this hotel. And so, like I said, I'm sold on it, but that's not the pop culture. I've got I want to check in with Nick to see what he's seen that I'm about to talk about, as well as make recommendations, because I think there's some good shit out there right now. We talked about this last week. I checked it out. Definitely give it a thumbs up. But The Many Saints of Newark, good. Okay,
I have not seen it yet.
I would like it. I would have liked it to have been more of a direct prequel, but in terms of a standalone, as well as giving some setup for The Sopranos, it's a very solid mob movie from start to finish.
So Taylor and I are in the middle of the Sopranos series. Is it okay for us to watch it now, or should we finish and then go back?
The only thing that would probably mess with her is at the beginning, Christopher Moltisanti does a voiceover and essentially says, "This is the guy that ends up killing me."
Yeah.
Talking about young Tony, like when Tony was a boy. Outside of that, it really, like I said, yes, some familiar characters are in there, but it's the Dickie Moltisanti story. That's it. I mean, a little bit's focused on, Tony, and, he always talked about how Dickie was his mentor, but it's not really how Tony becomes Tony. It's more of like the influences in his life that, okay, now that we've seen this, we understand why he made some choices, but they kind of leave it with Tony not too into that lifestyle. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that the HBO Max run ends on the 31st, and I mean we would really have to push hard to try to finish the whole series by the 31st.
Yeah, 1/6 is saying to finish it. I mean, I don't know. I think even what's his name, David Chase, he's a creator, right?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure even he said, like, listen, you can do this without the other. They're not necessarily, yes, they are tied together in the same universe, but it's not like you have to watch Sopranos to appreciate Saints. Like I said, a standalone, it's a good mob movie, if anything else.
Yeah.
Venom 2. Check that out in theater, and I liked it. It was kind of like the first one, so it's got that humor to it. I think Tom Hardy is excellent acting with himself and kind of acting off of the Venom voice. Anything Andy Serkis is attached to, I'll support. I think that man is he's a genius. I feel like he was robbed for what he did with Gollum back in the day. I mean, Ahmad Best is the pioneer, but I think Andy Serkis is the first one that showed us these motherfuckers should win Oscars for playing full digital characters. And he directed Venom 2. So I dug it, but I'll tell you what, the post-credit scene, whoo! That opens up so many speculation moments for Sony's characters making it over into the proper MCU. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that Sony and Marvel have been working together pretty well since the initial deal with the Spider-Man, like with Tom Holland Spider-Man stuff. So I am excited to see more crossover between, crossover is not the right word, but more intermingling of Sony's characters with proper Marvel characters on the Disney side, because that's how it should be. I mean, when you have a fucking Sinister Six movie, you should be able to use people from both sides of the coin, not just kind of scrape together shit from what your contract says. I mean, it's always been a mess. Marvel's always been a fucking disaster because of the way that the initial movie releases and the initial character
who owns what character for how long. I mean,
it's been wild, but the fact that Sony is now working with Marvel, basically brings the family back together, you could say, because now that Disney owns Fox and they're working together, you can pretty safely use anyone.
Yeah, they kicked the doors wide open to bring Sony characters over into the MCU. I mean, I won't spoil that. I know I kind of stepped on the Sopranos things, but everyone should be used to that type of shit here on the Star Wars Time Show. Sorry, we just let shit fly. My bad. It's not really a bad. I mean, Sopranos has been out for over a decade, so I'm not going to feel bad telling you that Tony waxes sort of nephew. All right, that's not a spoiler at all, so I'm not going to feel that bad. But yeah, so Venom 2, it's fun, some good lines in there, some laughs, some decent action. But like I said, the stinger there. Here's Nick dropped out. I gotta let him back in. Oh, this is funny. We knew it was gonna happen. He'll come back. I gotta get my Skype reopened again, let him back in here, but he'll be back. Like we predicted, this is just a new thing with Nick's setup here. So hopefully he'll call back in here in a little bit. Nick, call back, buddy, or I'll try calling you. All right, here he is. He's back.
Clockwork.
He's back.
Told you.
See?
We told you it was coming.
We can predict it. We can predict our fails now.
we're like almost. That was pretty close too. That was almost to the minute. We were like around 20-minute mark. You're gonna get a fall, and then we're like 18 minutes in.
Yeah, so anyways, Venom 2, I enjoyed it. Tones, I'm with you. I still need to go check out Bond on the big screen. I might get that in this week because I want my slate cleared for next week, which is Dune. I'm fucking pumped for Dune, all right? I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of the franchise. I've never read the books. I've watched the old film, but I love Denis Villeneuve. And I just think this thing is going to be an epic sci-fi film. So yeah, I do want to check out Bond soon, maybe this week if I can get out.
The last movie I saw in theaters was Addams Family 2. Honestly, man,
you went and saw the cartoon?
Yeah, we saw the first one too. The first Addams Family cartoon was actually the last movie we saw before everything shut down for COVID.
Oscar Isaacs is Gomez, right?
He's Gomez, yeah, and then Charlize Theron is Morticia. I mean, honestly, dude, if you go in, if you watch those movies and you just say, okay, they're not going to be like the 1990s movies. Like, they don't even try to be. Like, they're just completely different. They're still funny. Like, I laugh. I like. Dude,
I tried to sell Charlie on going to see Addams Family too, and she's like, fuck you. I mean, she's really hit the age now where if her friends are out and playing, the FOMO kicks in. Like, I don't want to miss out on any of this shit. So, Dad, go pound salt, homeboy.
Yeah.
So I like I said, I want to check that out too. But
no, dude, it's fun. It's fun shit.
TV wise, all right. Not to get controversial, checked out Chappelle's The Closer. Thought it was quite entertaining. I can see why some people are taking umbrage with it because at some points in time, I wouldn't say he's necessarily doing a joke or a bit. He's directly giving his opinion on some of this stuff. But in the end, as a comedian, I do think he's one of the best. And the way he kind of gets under people's skins, at one point, that's kind of what comedians were supposed to do. Like I said, I can see where some of the arguments are coming from the other sides, but hey, he's Dave Chappelle. It's good stuff. I mean, it's thought out, but like I said, he does make some just general opinions where it's like, all right, Dave, why don't you stick to the comedy and maybe not talk about your opinions on this stuff that you know is going to get you in trouble. And last but not least, and I'm not going to lie, my friends, but Foundation has become like my next TV Jesus. All right.
Okay.
This show, it's something where, no joke, I'm like, I wish it was Friday. I wish it was Friday. I wish it was Friday because I want to watch episode 5 to see what's going to happen next. And like I said, when I first broke it down for you, I thought the pilot was a beast. All right.
Yeah.
They were throwing a ton of shit at you, a lot of characters to set up the narrative. But by the end of episode 2, in particular 3 and 4, you really start to see like the big mystery comes into focus. The amount of time they cover, Nick. I mean, there's 400-year ago flashbacks all the way to the present timeline where they'll cover 30 years. Like they just jump 30 years. It's just very intriguing to me. The world is cool. It is 100% Star Wars, Game of Thrones. You got the, like the galactic politics mixed into the sci-fi stuff. And there's just the right amount of carrot dangling for the main mystery that they can get away with really not revealing much, but as a viewer, you're like, I need it. That's I feel like I need my foundation. I need my fix. So I am all in on Foundation. This is on Apple TV Plus, Klondike. It's well worth it, and it's already been picked up for a second season. I believe Goyer initially wanted it to go 8 or more, and if that's the case, I'm all for it because I just dig it. Fucking dig it. Cloned emperors, galactic empires, weird structures, like is it alien, is it not alien, a whole new type of math that predicts the future of massive populations. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, I'm interested in that for sure. We're gonna finish up Ted Lasso soon because we have to watch the last episode so far.
I hit that finale. It's pretty damn good. It's got a little bit of a dark side twist at the end.
That's what I heard. I heard that there's like an edge to it at the end, and you were like, oh shit. So gonna watch that, and then we watched the first episode of Squid Game yesterday.
Yo, okay, thank you. I checked that out too. So Nick, I am intrigued by it highly, but I am finding myself, especially because it's a late night show for me where I may be fucking around on another device like a douche.
Yeah.
It's shows with subtitles are hard to do that with. So I'm going to have to rewatch the second episode because I didn't do it justice. I wasn't paying attention. I missed some of the dialogue. But I've heard that the best way to watch this for dummies like you and me that don't speak multiple languages is just the regular English captions, not English CC, but just the regular English captions. Supposedly gives you the most direct translation of the Korean.
Yeah, I mean, I read that, but also I don't fucking care, so I just watched it dubbed.
So you just have them, like you just have the like the dopey Americans talking over
that's like I don't give a shit. Like at a certain point, it's like, how much subtext am I really missing? If it's like, if it's massive plot stuff, then fine. But if it's like little bullshit that I don't really give a fuck about, then like, I'm not going to sit there and read the show. Like most of the time I'm like sitting down, it's late at night. Like my attention is wandering, like you've said, or like I'm like semi paying attention to it unless I'm just like really engrossed in the show. And I don't feel like fucking reading. Like I am totally okay with that.
I was sitting there. This is like how goofy I am. I'm like, I need to search the internet. What is the best way to watch Squid Game? Because I was sitting there like, should I take my purist approach? Because I've talked about this before. When I first fired up Ghost, it gives you an option. Like, how do you want this delivered? Subtitles, Japanese? I'm like, fuck you. It was in Japanese, all just like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I'm gonna read the whole damn thing because that's the way to do it. And within, I think, 10 minutes, I was like, you know what? Fuck this. It's a video game. I'm just gonna listen to them because that dub was perfect. They actually had a full on English dub where you can tell in Squid Game it's like I don't know if they paid the English speakers or if they didn't give them the full script, but you can tell that there's just like, oh yeah, look at that, cool noodles, good. It's like it'd be like Nick and I trying to dub a Korean show without knowing Korean. That's kind of what the English dub sounded like to me on Squid Game.
Yeah, I mean, I may go back like and like I may do episode 2 in the dub and see like if it bothers me too much, but like I just like the show is like, I can tell you right now that the dialogue in the show is not as important as probably what is happening in front of you in pictures. Like when somebody's fucking head gets blown off, that's probably more important than the guy saying like, look, my favorite color is purple. It's like, I don't give a fuck if your favorite color is purple.
Okay.
Like,
all right. You know, I thought you were like a high society type. I didn't know. So
no, I mean, like I watch, like if I watch anime, I'll watch it both dubbed and subbed, depending on like the only thing that bothers me is if the dub sounds bad. Like if it sounds awful, then I won't watch it. But if the dub sounds fine, then I'll watch it dub.
It's weird. I mean, it's not perfect either way for us one language only types. I have to imagine. Like Joe's saying in the chat, this is what I read. A Korean woman on TikTok's like, yeah, the subtitles are awful in terms of the translation. Like, it's just not even close. It misses a lot of subcontext, context in general. But yeah, I think everyone's kind of convincing me, at least with Squid Game, it's probably not that important to honor the director's vision and how it was recorded. But with shit like Crouching Tiger, I don't know. I feel like you got to watch that with the Mandarin and read the subtitles, stuff like that. And it's like, Nick, do you ever has this ever happened to you where you are watching a movie and it is subtitled, and after a while you almost start to kind of understand at least the tone of the foreign language and what they're saying without necessarily reading every word?
Yeah, you get to that point with it. And that's how I was, because like I've watched most of Attack on Titan, and like I'm actually like pretty far behind on it, but I watched all that with Japanese and then subtitles and stuff. So it's like you do just get used to like character intonation and like what people are like, you know, their tone more than anything else. But yeah, it's weird. Like I said, I may try to do this like the second episode with like in Korean with the captions on and see if it bothers me too much. But you know, well, like I'm not too worried about like missing things, because I feel like this is like a show that the shit that's important that's going to happens in front of your face.
Yeah, I think you convinced me. So tonight when I rewatch parts of episode 2, because episode 2 just got fucked left and right. I mean, it was later in the night where I'm starting to do, you know, the old guy, the dad sleeping on the couch routine, where it's just like, get the fuck up and go to bed type of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But you still want to hang on till midnight or after. I don't know why. It's just how I am. It's like, oh, I got to get another Game of Go in, or I got to watch another Chappelle Show episode. But it's like, dude, you're just asleep. You're not watching shit.
Like you're not even paying attention.
You're not watching shit. It's like I got to rewatch the most recent episode of The Morning Show. That's what the wife and I watch these days. Another great one on Apple TV. But episode 4 is like, she came in Sunday night. You know, I probably had 2 or 3 of my heavy IPAs, and I lay down and she starts like scratching my head, and it's like, okay, see ya. There goes that episode. It's like I saw the beginning, missed 40 minutes, and then saw the end. So it doesn't quite, I can't quite process the plot through osmosis that way.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the deal, everyone, at least for those that pay attention and keep score. Today is the day where we're going to reveal the winner of our first ever Star Wars Time Show giveaway. Okay? And we've decided to do it like the assholes on all of the, you know, talent shows out there, the AGTs, the American Idols, you name it, where throughout our show today, we're going to give reveals. All right? And the first one is going to be our top 5. So we ended up getting, I think, 34 or 35 entries, which, hey, great. Good for all of you. You had a lot easier chance to win. I would hope if we do it again, we at least double that or maybe get to 100. But hey, whatever. We had enough to play. So out of those 34 to 35, Nick and I whittled the list down to 5, and then 3, and then 1. So right now, just like Nick Cannon used to do it, or these days Terry Crews, we're going to reveal the top 5 of the SWTS giveaway contest. All right, so there's no order here. These are just the 5 that made it from the cut, the initial subs of 34. All right, hopefully I don't fuck this up and reveal everything at once. But up first, we had a submission from, looks like Amber Rhodes, the Mary Rhodes We Travel. All right. And they made the top 5. It was a good Star Wars story about family and Star Wars. So we really appreciate that. Next in our top 5 is one of our buddies at Kingdom of Weird. Andy, I'll tell you what, I think Andy overall probably tackled this challenge the best with the most thought, because he contributed multiple submissions, and in each one gave us a nice little anecdote about why the scene he shared is a reflection of a positive feeling he has about Star Wars. So really liked Andy's thought process at Kingdom of Weird. So the next one in the top 5 is our buddy the _Imperial Grunt. Another one that kind of gave a good anecdote, but I would argue in this one, we probably got our most cinematic type of delivery. And remember, it was not about toy photography or art in general. I mean, one of our top 5 was just a mom and their kid talking about how much they love Star Wars with their family. So, but Imperial Grunt, just really cinematic looking shot while describing why he loves Star Wars. So that's why they made it in. And then number 4 here, again, there's no ranking here, but we went with Capt Ficky _BBT, another toy photographer. In this case, got a kind of a little anecdote about the first Star Wars film they watched, and we got a nice little scene between Maul and Jin. And then the last entry to make the top 5, which will be whittled down to the top 3 after a word from our sponsor, is Burkhead Toys, with another fine toy photography scene and a good description of the why. Okay, so kudos to the top 5. By the end of the show, yes, we will reveal the top 1. You know, we're doing it like all the other dickheads do with these things, dragging it out. It's called the tease, right? We're keeping them on the line. So after we get done with a word from our sponsor later today, we will reveal the top 3. And then going into the fan segment, we will choose the winner for the first ever hashtag SWTS giveaway. So thanks again to everyone that entered, and congratulations to the top 5. You're still in the running. Tell people to vote online. Call America's Got Talent. Yeah, call AGT and vote for your favorite.
We will not be opening a call line. That would be disastrous if we ever did that.
Thank you, though. Early on, we were kind of feeling a little sorry for ourselves, but we got there. We had, I guess, double our minimum, right, Nick? And we got some good stuff. I mean, there was some good art in there, but there was some even better just stories about.
Just story, yeah. I mean, that's kind of, like we said, it wasn't an art contest. It wasn't like you had to come up with an incredible piece of art. We pay a lot of homage to artists on this podcast, so we wanted to make sure that everybody had an opportunity to be included in this particular little giveaway that we were doing. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and get into it, man. We got a lot of leaky stuff here. A lot of leaky stuff. I like it. Burkhead's in the chat. We got 1-800-SWT-SHOW. That's the call-in number. Hopefully it doesn't line up with any real numbers, or we'll be like Squid Game. Did you see that? Like Netflix has had
somebody got like 3,000 calls a day or something like that.
Oops. Okay. Real quick before we get into leaky stuff, just quick PSA for those of you that might not own 50 copies of these games yet, but Aspire just came out today and revealed that there's now going to be a Jedi Knight bundle and a Star Wars Racer and Republic Commando bundle for the Switch and the PS4. The bundles are clocking in at $30, so $15 a game. I don't even think it saves you anything, but for those of you that might have skipped out or have never played these before, you got bundles on PS4 or Switch for some old good games, but they probably don't quite hold up to today's standards. Okay, so now the good stuff.
Now the good stuff.
Yeah. So this is bound to happen, Nick, as we approach Star Wars properties. More and more stuff starts to leak out. And before we get into this one, we got another post from Star Wars Newsnet, and I just need to make a statement about the Star Wars Newsnet here, who took umbrage with a tweet I put out last week. I mean, what the hell do I know? I just expect no one looks at our shit outside of our diehard fans. And I wasn't really trying to be an asshole. I mean, people that listen to this show, you know the type of frenzy I work myself up into on the SWTS. I kind of take on the role of the woe is me, whiny, jealous asshole, right? That's who I am. I'm not afraid to admit it. I am envious of sites like SWNN and the others. And sometimes I let that envy turn into pettiness, albeit under the guise of just fucking around. So when I put up this post last week, in the lead, I say, hey, they dug up an exclusive, and I pretty much continued the sentence with, and even though they don't care or choose to cover our leaks, I still trust them. I will go ahead and cover them. And that prose got into a tweet. And like I said, lo and behold, out of nowhere, the official SWNN Twitter replies basically saying, why are you a fuckhead, Star Wars Time Show? And I was like, well, let me introduce myself. I am the fuckhead. It's not the show itself, right? There's another man here. He's not the fuckhead. It's me. And I let him know. I'm like, listen, we respect you. I went on in that line to say we respect you, but I can tell you, I come from a place of envy, and sometimes I get a little pouty. And in text, I could see how a comment like, oh, hey, they didn't cover our stuff, but we're still covering theirs, may come off as negative towards them. Where anyone that listens to me, I'm just fucking around. Like I said, I respect them. I wish we had their following, all that fun stuff. So in my childish way with dealing with those emotions, I poke. All right, I wouldn't necessarily say I said anything mean. I just poke. And I got called out. So here you go. This is what big boys do for their speech. They come out and they address it. And I have addressed it with SWNN. I think it was Val from their team that I worked with directly. But hey, it's smoothed over. I don't think they will ever cover any of our stuff because of that tweet, and that's their choice. But there you go. Consequences in real life, but I'm still here. I owned up to it. I can't say that I'm going to be a better person or a better Star Wars fan content creator, because I probably won't, but I will know where to pick and choose my little tiffs with other Star Wars sites. And that's probably not the best way to do it through prose, because my wife and I have dealt with this. I'm sure Nick has had to deal with this. All of you you've had a text chain going off, and you say something, you think it's innocent, but the other person doesn't quite get the tone because it is just text, and they're like, fuck you. And that's what happens. Yes. So sorry, SWNN, if you're listening. I doubt you are, and I don't blame you. I don't even listen to our show that often outside when I'm mixing it, but there we go. Water under the bridge. Maybe one of the days, if we get some good leaky stuff, they'll cover it, because now I know how to properly get in touch with them, because apparently they don't check Instagram DMs. All right, so there you go. So to the good stuff, and enough with the BS. They had a pretty fantastical scene description for the Book of Boba. And this is one where I do urge, if you're someone, which I don't think people that listen to us are, but if you are someone that likes to go in completely blind, you may want to tune out for a bit. But they got a scene description, and because they know real-ass painters, they have the scene actually mocked up, which, kind of adds a little meat to it. So according to SWNN, in the Book of Boba Fett, we're going to see an intensely wild scene, and it's going to feature Boba on the back of a Rancor. All right? So if you're on the live stream, I have SWNN's concept art pulled up, and this is based on how it was described, and then from their source, this is how their artist rendered it. And it looks fucking epic. It's exactly what you think it would look like, right, Nick? You've got the Boba in his Neo gear on the back of an armor-clad Rancor, riding it like didn't you used to be able to ride Rancors in Force Unleashed, or no?
Yeah, you can do that too in Star Wars, the Old Republic, the online MMO. Okay. They have Rancor mounts. So yeah, very similar.
So envision that if you've seen that before, but with our man on the back. And they go on to describe, like, it's not clear to them if Fett is taming the beast currently, fighting it, But we will see him riding on the back of a Rancor and eventually controlling it through the streets of Tatooine. But again, the exact location wasn't made known to SWNN. The leak goes on to kind of describe the Rancor is going to be much lighter in color than Patissa from Return of the Jedi and Bad Batch. In fact, it's going to be almost pure sand color, and it's going to have the chest plate armor that you can see in the concept art, as well as some wrist guards. So, Nick, like we like to do, and I'll kind of tee it off to you first. What do you think's happening here? Like, I think this is a legit scene. Is this Boba saving the day or making a ruckus?
I mean, it's definitely him making a ruckus. Like, this is like, if I weren't on this show, this is one of the things that I definitely would not want to see, like in a leak, because
oops,
it's just like it's
a big moment.
Because like when this happens, like it's the same thing that happened like when you read all of the shit for Rise of Skywalker, where like you basically like go into it and you're like, well, it happened like they said it did. But I mean, like, in terms of what I think it's going to be, like, I don't think that you walk in on a Rancor trying to be a hero, really. I think that either he has commandeered this Rancor, like this was somebody else's Rancor that he just, like, took control of, got on the back, and is starting to, like, direct somehow, or there was a new Rancor that was stashed at the bottom of Jabba's palace that's now his, and that he's using to cause some mayhem.
Right.
If I had to take a guess.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting because we still don't quite know who Boba Fett is. We don't. You know, we know he was a shithead during the original trilogy, and I think he's said it himself. Remember the Dune Sea has I forget the exact line, but the Dune Sea has a curious way with the wretched. Him and Fennec, and we saw what he did for Din. I mean, if anything, Boba lives by a fucking code that is made evident tenfold in the War of the Bounty Hunter series. I mean, the dude could have fucking killed Chewbacca easily and probably wiped out Lando and Leia, but he's like, you know what, fuck you guys. I could care less. I'm here for a job and I live by my code. So we don't know who he really is or what he's going to try to be in the Book of Boba Fett. Is he going to go the warlord? Is he going to go kind of the reluctant savior type, kind of how Din started out? So I'm thinking, I don't know. It's tough, man, because yeah, if he's Boba and he's trying to make a point with old buddies and factions, there's no better way to make a point than to whip out a fucking Rancor hanging out in the garage of his new castle.
Yeah,
but if he's angling to be like this somewhat benevolent keeper of Tatooine, you know, maybe he wants to kind of make amends for his previous life. Maybe he is some other asshole let it out, and he's coming in to be the hero of the day to tame it and not allow utter destruction to take place.
Yeah, so I think that the days of like Boba Fett following like the bounty hunters code are gone. Like I don't think that we're gonna get somebody who's you know benevolent for, you know, kind of like what you were saying. I think that he is just gonna go like the way he took that palace by force and he just sat upon that throne did not look like, hey, I'm taking this over to be a good guy.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah. So I mean, in my opinion, like he's like trying to assert his dominance over the, you know, the factions that be on Tatooine. And what better way to do that and be like, bitch, I have a Rancor, and what are you going to do about it?
Right.
Like the only person that I know that's killed one of these was the Jedi. You know, what's your shot? Like, what are you going to do? So I kind of go more towards like he really is trying to, like, you know, he's going to go to a lot of these upstart little factions that have popped up around Tatooine since Jabba's death and be like, hey, you know, there's a tax to pay and I'm the tax man now. So get your finances in order and get ready to bend the knee again because there's a new warlord in town.
Okay. So Nick's going bad Boba. I don't know. For someone that hated the character, or I didn't hate him. I mean, come on. I've got like fucking 85 Boba Fett figures here. I actually have more Boba Fett 1/6 scale than any other character in Star Wars. So let's be real. Hate is a strong word. I didn't respect him. How's that? I didn't respect him. I don't know, man. He's such a mindfuck of a character because he is a cocksucker, but he's not. He's very honor bound, surprisingly. But
it's just what is his honor bound to? Right.
To your point, if it is like, hey, I'm back, I want my respect back, then sure, he's knocking heads and buildings over with this little lady here. If it is a female Rancor, which maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I don't know. And I'm with you. Sometimes these are hard to stomach as much as I like learning this stuff because it gives us stuff to speculate on. To me, if this goes down, this would be like if we got the whole crate dragon scene spoiled in the Mando season 2 before it came out. You know what I mean? That's the only thing too, is like, this is a very leak heavy episode for those of you listening. I mean, the next piece we have is a leak too. And it's like, this would have been so fucking cool to see. Like, I don't know how the intro to this scene is going to happen, but if like you're in a fucking town, like if you're say like, you know, in a town, or you're like in some sort of like facility where all of these, you know, these gangsters are hanging out, and he just busts through the wall with a fucking Rancor. Yeah, like, we're gonna be like, that would have been a really fucking awesome moment to be like, what the hell? Hey. Like, you know, but you know, I guess that's the tax you pay. That's the life we live, man. That's the what is it? That is the creed we have signed. Although I will never fucking do what we did with Rise of Skywalker. Like,
yeah, no, it never gets to the point.
Like a scene leak that doesn't have all details confirmed. Okay, I can handle this, and I know, you know, the concept art rendering just makes it even more spoiling.
Sell it a little bit. Yeah.
But I mean, if you really read it, it's a lot of, we know this at least is happening. We don't know where, we don't know why. So there is still a little ambiguity around this. But never will I fucking do a script dive again like we did with Tross. That was one of the worst experiences of my life as a Star Wars fan. It was awful. Hated it.
If that ever happens again, you guys can go read it by yourself and
never do that. Never, ever.
We'll never do it on a show again.
And it's probably for you younger ones, because I remember how I was with the prequels. Like, I was salivating for information. It was a different era, too. We didn't have the internet we have these days. But I was always like, I need to know what's going to happen. I got to know. Is it going to satisfy what's in my head for these movies? But after doing it with Tross, and it did line up, it's awful. It is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
It robs you of any joy. Yeah. And I actually think, Nick, I don't want to say hate for that movie, but I think it's probably my least favorite, because any of the wow shit I ruined for myself. Like, there was nothing joyous to experience for me in Tross, because I knew every fucking big beat to the lines. I mean, it was a copy and paste script dump, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, that is exactly what happens when John Boyega leaves his script under a hotel room bed and somebody just sells it on eBay. So, I mean, luckily for me, like, I did the first act with you, but then when you did the rest of them, I wasn't around for the podcast. I was away on vacation, so I didn't get the whole deal. But like, even like the limited part that I did, like knowing the scene with like Chewie and everything that happened between Chewie and Rey, I was like, man, this would have been really fucking cool to see, to really think that Chewie gets nuked here. But then I knew, I was like, well, he's alive. So this whole, you lose all of the impact.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful. Don't do it even for this fake science fiction stuff. It is not worth it. Trust me. As much as your brain is telling you, like, we need to know, your heart is telling you the right thing when it says, fuckhead, have some more patience and just wait until it's in theaters, okay?
Don't do it.
I'm all about speculating, because, you know, a lot of times, as much as I get on here and gloat about my excellent record in speculation hits, it's terrible. I'm probably batting like a 200 or like a 150 or maybe even sub that. Let's be real. So most of the shit we say never even adds up. that's okay. But direct script drops, no way. No way. Never again. I'll gouge my eyes out before I do that. All right. So anyways, if this happens, which it's going to happen, we just ruined it for you. So there you go. Welcome to the Star Wars Time Show. But I know Tones had already seen it. Trust me, there's people in here that are just as antsy as me. And they can't help themselves. They can't help themselves.
There are leak freaks out there for sure. I am not one of them. I do this out of duty.
Right.
Because really there's if we wouldn't be talking about this, there's nothing to talk about. We would have been talking about some books, and that was probably about it.
Yeah, that's it. And like, Foundation and stuff like that. So
yeah.
All right. So more leaky stuff. Again, if you are someone that doesn't want to hear speculations or potential leak hits, you might want to skip out on this. But this is new details on the rematch between Obi-Wan and Vader in the Kenobi series. So last week we did our big leak on it, and I'll kind of go into a little behind the scenes on this. So this comes from Making Star Wars, all right, this report here. And when I saw this last week, I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to contact Jason and just run him our link, see what he says. Fully expecting to be ignored like I usually am, okay? Again, this is where some of the stuff plays into where I got myself in trouble with SWNN. I figure no one gives a fuck because the proof is in the pudding, as they say. But he replied. He's like, you know what? Shit, I wish I had this before I put out the report Nick and I are just about to give you, because he's like, this would have helped me kind of flesh out some other things that I've been told, but I'm not confident enough yet to go through it. So that actually led to him inviting me onto the Making Star Wars show last Thursday. And I actually had time to get on. I got on and talked with him and some of his co-hosts. And I had a good time. I mean, I don't want to get into why Making Star Wars has kind of been canceled by some fans. Whatever. We're not going to get into that. In terms of just talking Star Wars, they're a good group of guys to just sit there and bullshit like Nick and I do. I mean, it felt like I was home. I just didn't have to play leader, which was nice to finally just kind of sit here and say my piece, but then have other people chime in and someone kind of drive the ship. But as we go through this leak, I hopefully will remember some of the speculation we came up with over there, because I think we hit on some very possible scenes that may play out towards the end of Kenobi in regards to the updates that MSW gave us on the rematch. So, Nick, what we're getting at here, what Jason had over at MSW, he was specifically focusing on the final battle between Kenobi and Vader, because we are the ones that kind of broke that. No, they're actually, it's going to follow more of a Maul, Qui-Gon Jinn, Kenobi type of cadence in TPM than just a big battle and that's it. They're going to have little interactions that build the tension up to this big rematch. So that's where a lot of MSW's details came in for. But there's a lot of stuff in here that could take Nick and I down some new tangents. So up first, Nick, I call this the MacGuffin moment, and it possibly plays into some of the other leaks we've heard, but have treated them as wild rumors just based on the source. So anyways, according to MSW, it sounds like the MacGuffin and ultimately the rematches between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader are all going to stem from a mission Kenobi is sent on early on to save a prisoner who is, in quotes coming from MSW, important to the cause. This prisoner is being held by an Inquisitor played by Moses Ingram, who we have speculated is playing an Inquisitor based on her social media posts. And it sounds like Kenobi will be successful in his mission, which is going to be what spurs Darth Vader into action. All right. So, Nick, I don't know if you remember a report we did a few weeks ago, but we were told that this potential person important to the cause could indeed be a young Princess Leia, or maybe someone from the Organa family. But coming from MSW and his sources, which, like I said, say what you will about MSW, the dude has a direct connection to Lucasfilm. All right, I mean, there's really nothing you can say about that. But this person that Kenobi is sent to save, the MacGuffin, if you will, is, in quotes, important to the cause. What is the cause? Is it the rebellion? Is it the last remnants of the Republic? Is it, Obi-Wan's beard fan club? Who knows? But as Nick has been saying all along, feeling that Kenobi will be pulled off planet, it's happening. We just don't quite know who this prisoner is important to the cause. So what do you think? Do you think it is going to be a Leia or an Organa or someone in the Rebel Alliance that would warrant a Kenobi? And if it is a prisoner, Nick, just to set the stage for you, if it's a prisoner being held by an Inquisitor, they're probably not just a run-of-the-mill Rebel asset, right?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with it being Leia is twofold. One, nobody knows who she is, so there would be no reason to kidnap her unless you're like trying to hold something over Bail Organa's head. Like nobody knows she's a Skywalker, and she's 7. Like she's a literal child. Like
they'd be 10. The twins are 10.
Yeah, 10. Yeah, so like at this, like, what's the purpose? Like, it would make more sense if she was like 16 and she was like, a big, like, already a part of like, the Senate and stuff like that, because we know that she started her like political and career and like in the rebellion very young. But like for a 10-year-old, the only reason that you would ever kidnap a 10-year-old is for if it was something with her parents,
right?
And like I said, nobody knew she was a Skywalker until the end of the fucking
the
6th movie.
You hit my first point. You hit my first point there, which ties into. And I can't believe I didn't realize this last week, or none of us realized this when I was on MSW show. But if you have an Inquisitor holding a prisoner, it's not going to be. It's going to be a Force user of some sort, right? It has to be.
Yeah, the
Inquisitors did not
great importance.
The Inquisitors,
dangerous.
At least from what we've been delivered in games and cartoons, they were solely Vader's lieutenants to track down Jedi and Force anomalies. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, for this, I mean, you have another Force-sensitive character that's in the show, so it could be a character that we don't even know about. It's a Jedi that was out there, but I don't know if there would ever be a reason to kidnap a Jedi and not just straight kill them if you were an Inquisitor.
Tones keeps throwing in Saw. What do you think on Saw?
I mean, it's possible that it's Saw again. Like you have to think of like what is the benefit to the Empire of holding this person, and like that's the big question to me. Is like it has to be somebody of political importance enough to where they don't just kill them. Like any Jedi would just be immediately killed; they would not be captured. So I don't think it's a Jedi, unless there's for some circumstance I didn't kill him. So it has to be like a political prisoner of some degree. Like maybe it is Bail Organa. Like Bail Organa would make a lot of sense because it's you don't gain anything from killing him because he doesn't really do all that much in terms of like the machinations of the rebellion at that time. But he is a very influential political figure. Right. That would take somebody like Kenobi out of hiding. Like if Bail Organa is captured and in the hands of the Empire, then you want Kenobi on it.
I guess
Leia just feels out of place.
I keep going back to, unless they're going to establish it in the Kenobi series, the Inquisitors were not used as henchmen like other Imperials. They were specifically reserved to fuck with and destroy and root out Jedi. Yeah. So, I mean, Brando here in the chat, he's throwing out Quinlan Vos, who we know him and Kenobi, they had interaction in the Clone Wars. They're kind of like oil and water, but they definitely end up working well together.
I'm pretty sure Quinlan Vos dies in one of the books. Okay. So it's not him. I don't know. It's the new canon.
It's interesting. Like I said, I mean, and we've gotten ourselves in trouble kind of putting up constructs in our head before, like, oh, they'll never bring Luke Skywalker into Mandalorian, so we just write it off and we don't spend time on it. But it is weird to think, like, why would Vader be sending his hench people after just run-of-the-mill rebels or shitheads. It seems like if this prisoner's being held by Moses's Inquisitor, and let's be real, Kenobi's probably going to show up and fucking waste Moses early on and win, which is going to get Vader's attention. I don't know. Like I said, it's some interesting shit to kind of groove on here. Just knowing that, as Nick has been saying all along, Kenobi is going to have to leave planet, and he's leaving planet for a key person, which with the Leia report we thought, and I still think Leia's going to be in the series, but I'm with Nick. I don't think Leia's the prisoner. I don't know, man. It's got to be someone that had ties to the Force. Dare I say, I mean, could it be fucking Grogu? I mean,
I don't know.
He's like fair Grogu, game for this.
Yeah, I guess he could be, but like, yeah, I mean, I guess there's no reason to say that he wouldn't be. But then you get to a point to where like, what essentially you would have to have a chain of custody between like Kenobi saving him and then whatever happens to where he gets captured from Mando. But I guess you could just pass that on. Yeah, I mean, to me, like the Inquisitor angle, I definitely see where you're coming at.
Well, Tones
from
has a point. I don't know if you saw what Tones said, and I'll kind of bite on this, but if it is a non-Force user, you could technically be using an Inquisitor to do some sort of, some of that mind extraction stuff.
Interrogation.
Like they're the torturer, which they'd obviously be more effective than just the old regular torture bot. I mean, they could fuck with you with the Force, which could help.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very strong possibility too that we don't even know who this character is. Right. Like, I don't want to stick too much on like it's got to be somebody that we know, because it very well may be a character that we're introduced to that does, that is proven to have extreme importance to the rebellion cause. Like I don't think that even at this point, I don't even think that they would consider Leia strongly important to the rebellion's cause, because she's a 10-year-old kid.
Right. Like
literally nobody knows she's a Skywalker other than Bail, Obi, and Yoda. So like it's not like if she gets captured that everybody in the rebellion's like, holy fuck, this is code black, like we got to go all out on this. Like I feel like it might be somebody that we don't know,
which would be great. I mean, I'm all about new characters. We're actually going to talk about a new one coming in. We've talked about Kumail's character before, but now he's offered up some more insights. So I don't know. I mean, it can go a lot of ways. I mean, if it was Leia, it could be leverage on Bail. If it's Bail, I mean, that could really set the bond between him and Kenobi, and why that line gets referenced in A New Hope as well as in Rogue One. I mean, let's be real. They knew each other during the prequels, but it's not like they were the best of trusted friends. Not to the point where Bail or Leia would know to say, hey, my father trusted you, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they've had no interaction. Ahsoka would be awesome. No way. I don't think they're going to let her steal any Kenobi show thunder or Hayden's thunder, but sure.
And again, like for I saw somebody say like, Ezra Bridger's parents and stuff like that. It's just, then you start getting into like,
too detailed, too minutia. Yeah. Like we sometimes we all forget, those of us that do podcasts or listen to them, that there's most people in this world are not like us. They don't know the ins and outs. And I do agree with Nick, like on these shows, while they have rolled out some stuff from animation, it's like boom in your face, not nuanced. Like, oh yeah, these are
like super small stuff.
Right.
It's almost more beneficial to the story if it is somebody new. Like I almost prefer to not be somebody that we know, because if it's somebody that we know, then it's like, okay, well they got Saw, so whatever. We know the whole story.
I mean, dude, when we get to
somebody new,
when we get to it, it could very well be Kumail's character. Like
it could be. Yeah,
once we parse out some of the quotes he dropped to Rolling Stone, who knows? But either way, I think we have our MacGuffin moment and confirmation that yes, Mr. Hello there is definitely leaving planet, and this first interaction with the Empire is what is going to kind of catch Vader's attention to like, oh shit, this cocksucker's out and about and he's messing with my Inquisitors and ultimately messing with our plans. All right, so in terms of the final rematch itself, and again, this is the final battle between Kenobi and Vader. And on MSW, we're guessing this very well could be the final episode, because we're like, if this is, again, just a breakdown of what was to be a film, and they've said over and over, this is it. There's a good chance they use every episode up until the end to deliver the final rematch, where if this was a recurring series, Nick, we'd probably get all the big blah stuff like penultimate type of episode with the finale being used to kind of set up the next season, kind of like Bad Batch did. But anyways, here we go. So based on our leak, we've established that these two are going to clash throughout the series, but there is going to be one big final rematch, and this is what MSW kind of fleshed out. And he described it as Obi-Wan is going to be in peak form and definitely more skilled than Vader at this point in the saga. And I want to come back to this, Nick, based on some stuff we talked about last week with MSW, so hopefully I remember, but we were kind of spitballing, like, how does Kenobi in this go from being peak to the guy that shows up on the Death Star and Vader instantly knows that his powers have faded? All right, so we've got some thoughts there. Anyways, so in the lead up to the final duel, we will see Vader on Mustafar leaving with urgency in what sounds like a version of his TIE Advanced. All right, so he's going to essentially be getting up and running out to his TIE because he's like, all right, I know where Kenobi's going. I can finally, let's kind of put this to bed. And MSW is running with, he believes this duel is going to take place on Jeddah or obviously Tatooine, but I kind of like the Jeddah angle. And potentially Kenobi having to be there because of its force sensitivity and all the crystals and yada, yada, yada.
It's not going to take place on Tatooine.
Right, okay.
Like, there's no fucking possible way.
Yeah, so,
because if that's the case, not only did Vader forget about seeing Kenobi, he also forgot completely that Kenobi was on Tatooine.
Yeah, like the duel's in their backyard, and he forgets 8 years later that's Kenobi's hovel there.
It's like you're already kind of skirting the edge with this, like, where you're already kind of like playing with timelines a little bit. If you're literally on the planet where the dude's fucking house is, then like you're really kind of off.
So I was kind of leaning towards Jeddah too, just because of the connection to the Force and the Jedis and all that shit. But I think some of the set was described as having rocks strewn throughout and rock walls, this, that, and the other thing. And yes, Tatooine has that too, but I think Nick makes a good point. So fuck it. We'll speculate this is going to happen on Jeddah here on the SWTS. So once they do meet for this battle, Kenobi is going to be sporting his old white robes, which are naturally going to be, weathered and worn down a bit. And Vader is more than likely going to be in his Rogue One armor. All right. Because I know people get excited about costumes. But here's I love this part. Apparently, as soon as they face off, Kenobi instantly knows who is in the suit and force pushes Vader upwards of 50 feet into a rock wall. Like a force Hadouken is how it was described to me. Like, as soon as he sees this cocksucker, he's just like, and just fucking throws him into a rock wall. All right, Vader crashes down. And Jason was describing as it was described to him, and he feels like after that kind of initial ass kick, this is where Anakin really starts to tap into the next level of hate and power. And he gets up methodically and mechanically and starts lumbering towards Obi-Wan for his own chance at revenge. All right, and that's kind of that's where the summary of the fight kind of finishes. But also, according to MSW, Hayden is not in the suits for this particular fight, and it took 2 weeks to film. So this could very well be the epic shit that our source told us. And if we see the Dark Lord of the Sith getting thrown around like a rag doll, that's something we've never seen outside of in comics from the Emperor himself. So that's going to be a pretty fucking awesome spectacle to see former master against apprentice. And the first thing, it's not even a hello there. It's just a pooyah! He just fucking throws him across the desert up into a mountain, and then they kind of get the battle on. All right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it sounds pretty good.
And I was, after learning what I learned from MSW, I started asking questions. And I'm like, well, Jason, do you feel that Kenobi this is the first time where he finally, kind of comes to terms like, yes, this is Anakin? Or do you feel in their mini encounters that he may start to know? So what do you think? Do you think the Force push is a result of Ben or Kenobi finally coming to terms with the fact that, oh shit, this is my creation. This is what I let that lump of flesh become because I didn't finish the job. I thought he was dead. And he's super committed to taking him out? Or do you think he kind of has an idea throughout Kenobi, and then once they get to the final battle, he's like, you know what, motherfucker, let's go?
I think it's like a thing of denial, just like before, where, Obi probably could tell that Anakin was teetering on the dark side even towards the end of episode 3. That's why you had some of the conversations that you had. And, he obviously saw it throughout the previous movie too, Attack of the Clones. So I think it's going to be like he knows, like, of course he knows, like he knows, but it's just a denial thing. And then finally eventually in this battle, he'll come to the point where the denial is gone and he knows what he's got to do. And,
I kind of was like to them, and I'll go to you, but these dudes know each other inside and out. I mean, for Christ's sakes, in A New Hope, before we even learned all the different ways the Force works, Vader sniffs out Kenobi from the hangar. Yeah. He's like, I haven't felt this presence since. And he's like, I smell an old crotchety Jedi asshole. Kenobi. So Vader could fucking sense his former master just being on the same structure, which was a small moon. Okay. Yeah. So I was like, well, I feel like, and I think, I don't know if you remember how Ahsoka finally came to terms with it in Rebels, but I could see it being similar to that, where anytime they're in the same space or touching the same force waves, Ahsoka could tell, like, there's something familiar about this character, this dude wiping down Phoenix Squadron. There's something familiar. Even when they battle, she can start to tell. And it's not till, finally, I think she's like, you know what? I've known this all along. Mm-hmm. I need to just kind of rip the scab off. And that's when she slices his mask. And yes, it is fully revealed finally. Like, yeah, that is him. You were right. So do you think that's kind of how Obi-Wan's going to handle it?
I do, and I don't know if you're going to get any sort of inclination as to how much Kenobi knows of Darth Vader before the show starts. Like, has he seen on like Holo News reports that Darth Vader is, this new force in the galaxy or whatever, or is there literally going to be like a first confrontation where like, oh, this is like he is finally introduced to Darth Vader for the first time. Well, it really depends on like what his level of knowledge is of Vader prior to their first encounter.
Yeah, you would think he's not fully off the grid, especially if we go with this is fact that he's going to be getting called off planet to save an important person. So you would think that he is full aware of this Sith Lord who is running the Empire with Palpatine, and that there are Inquisitors. You would have to think Obi-Wan is not an ostrich and has buried his head in the sand since he delivered baby Luke. But I think it's honestly, I think it's just part of the Jedi hubris where they don't want to believe that one of their own could have become this, especially one that he had direct influence on. I mean, think about that. Think about how shitty Kenobi has to feel at this point in his life. He's probably, like Nick said, he threw on the Holo. He was watching Sports Center to check out the latest fucking droid football score. And he gets a report that, this imposing Dark Lord of the Sith just wiped out another battalion of rebel detractors or Republic supporters way back when. He's gonna know. I mean, he's gonna have an idea like, I'm directly responsible for this, just like Luke was in TLJ. The woe is me Luke. Like, it's my fucking fault that this dickhead kid is now going out and fucking up the galaxy again. And I believe old Ben Kenobi probably feels the same way, although with a little more hubris, because he was brought up in the the Jedi school of hubris, where they do no wrong. Anything they say is right. I mean, they it
it's going to be interesting because I do think that he's got an inclination. If he knows of Vader, he probably in the back of his head just like deny. Like, I know it's Anakin, but it can't be. And then finally, I mean, like, yeah, that last confrontation is just going to be like him accepting the monster that he created, essentially. And then from there, you essentially have 9 years for him to be able to build that point of view story that he sells to Luke in
there he
episode
goes.
4.
Okay. So it's good. Thank you. That's the prompt I needed there. So I and this again, MSW apparently couldn't reveal the full line. They will not tell him the full quote, but I was told during this rematch, Kenobi is going to break out the P word. He is going to throw out a quote on Padme. And as Nick and I have speculated, I also think through this battle and their interactions and kind of building up to this, that Kenobi is going to make a pitch similar to Luke tries to do in Jedi. And I do think he will make a pitch that is going to make that scene in Jedi have that much more feeling to it. Obi-Wan once thought as you did. And he says it very depressingly. Like, that's like peak depressed Vader, where he knows he has fucked up, but he's so addicted to the dark side crack and the abuse of his emperor that he can't even oblige his son's requests. But I do think that line is going to get paid off in this rematch, and it probably will tie into Padme. Because remember, who is the one that told Obi-Wan there is still good in him first? Yeah. Padme dying. Her last words is, there's still good in him. Like, she even knew that he
literally
lived.
May be the line.
Yeah, I agree.
He may just straight up quote it, be like, you know what Padme told me before she died? Like,
Nick, I don't think you're wrong. That's the same thing I said. Like, when on MSW, I'm like, listen, guys, what did she tell Obi-Wan herself? She planted the seed. She was the first one. Luke's mom knew before anyone that this crazy motherfucker that tried to save her life, and, you know, let's be real, he had a boner for power, can be redeemed. So I 100% think Kenobi is going to take a stab at it during this big rematch, throwing out the P-bomb to snap Vader out of his rage. And any of us that have read the comics, or any of you that listen to my stupid recaps of the Vader comics, we know full well Padme is someone that can get him to think clearly. Okay?
Yeah.
He can almost snap back into somewhat Anakin when he is thinking about his lover and wife. So the other thing I wanted to touch on, and this is pure speculation based on a run-in MSW had, and I want to see where you kind of take it, but this guy must live around these sets or just hangs out by him, because I guess one day, and it's up on his Twitter, he literally drove, I mean, Ewan was in his car right by him, waving like, hey, what are you doing? But someone else that he ran into, wherever this set traffic happens, Nick, is Frank Oz. Okay?
Yeah.
If you know who Frank Oz is, not only does he help direct sometimes, but he's also the voice of Yoda. All right? So think of it this way. We've heard scenes being described like, you know, Dagobah could come into play, or, you know, this moody type of swampy location, pull shoots, all this fun stuff. We've also know that at some point Obi-Wan needs to learn how to become one with the Force, and ultimately from A New Hope and the original trilogies, we learned that Obi-Wan chooses to die because he knows as a ghost he is a better help through the Force to Luke than being in the flesh and blood. Yeah. So Nick, a few things for you here. Considering he's being described as peak pimp in the Kenobi series, only 8 years before A New Hope, do you feel after this exchange and the realization that shit, that really is my fuck up that is destroying the galaxy, I need to figure something out. I need to change my thought process on this Skywalker kid. No longer am I going to get training him early on. No longer am I going to approach any of the Force stuff like I did with his father. I need to work on myself. I need to get a stronger connection to the Force, less so in my physical powers, more so to my mental abilities. So do you think that after this rematch and the fact that he knows that he fucked up the galaxy and now he needs to try and fix it, does he potentially, through the advice of Yoda, essentially change his method of preparation to get Luke ready for his ultimate test, which is to take out his father? In being that he no longer is practicing in like the physical force to make sure he's in peak condition, but kind of taking more of a Buddhist approach, figuring out how to be reborn through the Force, all that fun stuff. And that's why when he shows up on the Death Star, Vader's all like, oh shit, man, your powers are weak as fuck. Because, again, 8 years prior, he kicks his ass. 8 years passing for a Jedi, I mean, he shouldn't become a frail piece of shit. So do we think that Kenobi is fundamentally shifting how he is training in the Force, how he may have wanted to train Luke to become the more wiser old Ben and taking the path of becoming a ghost versus training Luke traditionally like he did Anakin?
There's definitely, like, once the full realization is there that that's Vader, then there's definitely a mind shift change or a mindset change. I mean, the real question is, if Luke doesn't walk up to that hovel by fucking accident or like walk into that canyon and get fucking wrecked by the sand people, does he even train him at all? Like, this motherfucker was on death's doorstep when we see him in episode 4, and he never had any interactions with Luke at all.
It's all
so
by
are
design.
we just supposed to, are we just supposed to believe that he was supposed to come in this canyon, or was what? Like when Obi-Wan, when Luke turns 20, then he's like, okay, well, I'll go get him now.
Well,
like,
check.
I don't think that
you definitely you have a great point based on how it's delivered. But we could also make the case the reason Obi-Wan shows up there is because he's been shadowing Luke his whole life. And anytime Luke goes and does something goofy, Obi-Wan is a few crate dragon screams away. You know what I mean? So
he's definitely been keeping an eye on him. But if there was, I feel like if there was an actual desire to train this kid to, like, hey, guess what your destiny is? Your destiny is to become this great Jedi. There probably would have been at least a little bit more effort put forward before.
You're kind of catching on to what I'm saying. What if that was his initial plan until all this stuff happens with Vader and Kenobi, where he's like, you know what? I need to pump the brakes on this shit, because I trained this dude's dad when he was 10 years old, and look what the fuck happened. Maybe it's better to not do it the old Jedi way, to kind of take a step back, let Luke become a person, form relationships, a whole different approach to training a Jedi. And then I'm going to come in as a more wise master that isn't so focused on lightsaber this, force push that, but more on the kind of like the mystical side of the Force. Because that's what he becomes. He becomes his Jesus. Like, he's literally in his head, telling him what to do, giving him guidance. Use the Force, Luke. Let go of your feelings. He knew by dying he could be with Luke 24/7, where if he stayed in the physical form and it was just an ass-kicking Kenobi guy, he wasn't going to serve Luke the way Luke needed to be served. I don't know, just throwing out some thoughts.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense that he would kind of change his approach. As to why his powers have degraded overall, I mean, we also had to keep him, do we have like an age for Kenobi in episode 4, like how old he was supposed to be? Like, he was supposed to be in his 60s, right? 60 something?
Who the fuck knows,
I don't know if we were
it gets really weird because of, obviously the different actors, but yeah, if we just go off of visuals, Kenobi is going to age 50 years from the Kenobi series to A New Hope in 8 years. You know what I mean?
So he was so if you're going by Guinness's age, Guinness died in 2000 and he was 86 years old. So if you walk that back,
you're going to have to do this math. This is too intense for me.
He's in his 60s. So I mean, if you go 2000 minus 1977, so that's 23 years difference. So he was 69 let's see, 86 minus 23. He was 63 years old. So if you just think about humans, like male humans, so he's 50, then we're supposed to believe if he's Alec Guinness's age, he's like 56 in this show or something like that, somewhere around there, 53. The age, like how age affects your body from your mid 50s to your mid 60s is big time degradation.
Well, in real life, like, again, that's real life. I mean, we're also talking about space wizards here.
But he's a human. But he's like human beings still have the same expected lifespan in Star Wars as they do in the real world. Like we know that just based off of characters and their natural lifespans. And it's also like listed in like some of the documentation, like wiki shit. So like he's just getting old. Like his body is failing, and also he lives in a fucking desert. So
right.
he doesn't have the same sustenance that he would have if he was living and training at the Jedi Temple and stuff like that. And he's old. Like, I mean, I know that your dad's probably up in age too. My dad's in his 60s as well, and I can remember my dad 10 years ago, and it's a monumental difference in terms of your physical ability. And I think
it could be something like what Luke does too. I mean, he could choose after seeing his failings up close and personal to disconnect a bit, right? To disconnect from the Force, to not practice it, to not try to learn new things. I don't know. I have a strong feeling that, and this could be like the final moments of the Kenobi series in my head. Either he goes to Dagobah after this rematch and is like, dude, Yoda, we're fucked. Like, I'm sure you felt it. You know, I know you don't get TV here on Dagobah, but I'm sure you felt it. I can confirm it. That guy is Anakin. Yeah, I probably should have stabbed him in the head instead of just walking away thinking he'd die. I need some help. And, you know, maybe Yoda's like, well, hey, listen, you need to start focusing on this, and you hear Liam Neeson's voice, and, you know, that's kind of like, or maybe the end is we're back on Tatooine and he's in a cross-leg position and we hear Liam's voice like Obi-Wan, and they kind of leave us with the idea that he is shifting from warrior Jedi mode to more wise master mode and learning the deeper intricacies of the Force and how to become one with it once his, you know, corporeal form disappears. So I don't know. Yeah, I
mean, he definitely focuses more on the mystical side of things after this, for sure. Like without a doubt.
Like I said, I'm so pumped for Kenobi, man. I know that's our question of the week. Like, there's my answer: Kenobi over Book of Boba Fett. Like, it's. I don't want to say it's not even close because I'm a dork and I'm super excited for all this shit. I mean, I'm excited for November 12th when we're supposed to get like a Boba Fett jerk off special. You know what I mean? Like, that's who I am. But just as these layers are getting peeled off, Nick, I'm like, whoo, boy, this Kenobi could literally be the best Skywalker saga content of all time when it's all said and done. And this report just kind of bolsters that thought. All right. So before we move on, we're going to check in with the giveaway. That's right. We're going to now reveal the top 3. Okay, so let me go ahead and make sure our screens are all ready to go. So the top 3, if you remember, I don't, but we revealed the top 5 at the start of the show, and now we're going to reveal who has made it to the top 3. Again, order does not matter here. So up first we have Burkhead Toys. You've made it to the top 3. Congratulations. But don't get too excited because this is not the final win selection round. All right. So Burkhead Toys is in the top 3 along with Kingdom of Weird. Congratulations. You have made it to the top 3 of the hashtag SWTS giveaway. The first and maybe the last of its kind. So if you're keeping score, we've got Burkhead Toys and Kingdom of Weird have made it into the top 3. And the final entry to make it into the top 3 is... We'll get to it after the break. No, just kidding. It is... Come on, Internet. You're killing us. You would never do this to Terry Crews. Come on now.
Instagram.
You can do it. You can do it. There we go.
Building suspense.
The many roads we travel. There you go. So that's our top 3 Burkhead toys, Kingdom of Weird, and that tab just closed by itself. So the last account I just read to you. I love it.
Travel. All
right. So congratulations to the top 3. We'll have one more round of whacking to go to choose our winner. There we go. I got it out. All right. Before we move on to another Kenobi story, I believe we have some words for you. I just got to get the words up on the screen while I'm vamping here. Yep, there we go. The words are up. And now it's time to... Ah! Oh no, it's a bloodbath in here. There's got to be a better way to get my dagger clean and shiny safely than this. This is what I used to deal with when I cut myself shaving before I knew about Manscaped. Thank you, Manscaped, for keeping my dagger slick and ready for wherever the night takes me. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. Join the movement by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code SWTS. And, you know, I'll tell you what, Nick, that is a very true tale. I think every man out there, or woman, you never know. I mean, you know, women probably like to trim down there too. But we're talking to the men, the Manscaped men out there. But at some point in your life, you probably have nicked your balls or your dagger. You know, it's not fun. It doesn't feel good. It's not funny. You know, either zipper nicks or shaven nicks. It's just that type of skin should not bleed. Do you agree with me? You know what I mean?
I agree.
All right. So that's why we have Manscaped to help us. So our time in the bathroom is not similar to what you would hear in a horror movie. That's right. You can get the below the waist. They are the below the waist grooming leaders. And the reason is they've got this 4th generation performance package that Nick and I have been talking about all summer. We call it the PP 4.0, and it comes with the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, liquid formulations, which are my personal favorite, and 2 free gifts. All right. So the spooky season is here, and Manscaped is getting you set. All right. Performance Package 4.0. You might as well pick yourself up that Lawnmower 4.0 if you have not done so. You never know. Maybe your costume will require some trimming in those areas, armpits, groin. You never know. But Manscaped has you covered. That Weed Whacker can get your face all prepped to get the makeup on for all your crazy Halloween costumes and makeup parties. Manscaped's got you covered. All right, this Performance Package 4.0, like I said, it's going to come with the Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, liquid formulations such as the Crop Preserver, and what was the other one, Nick, that's in the 4.0? We got the Crop Preserver, which is our
foot deodorant.
The foot deodorant, all sorts of good stuff.
The ball toner.
The ball toner. The names are fantastic. So
I know.
You know what you got to do.
The names are great.
So in addition to all that great stuff, and I do stand by it, and I have reordered some of the liquid formulations because of how they make me feel. They make me feel manly after I groom down there using my Lawnmower 4.0. But in addition to all this, Manscaped did throw in two free gifts into this Performance Package 4.0, which are the kick-ass boxers that Nick is a huge fan of, and the Shed Travel Bag. All right, so you can get 20% off of all this stuff, not just the Performance Package 4.0, anything at manscaped.com if you use the code SWTS at checkout, which will also get you free shipping. All right, so get 20% off and free shipping with the code SWTS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com as long as you use the code SWTS. Slay your worst pubes and keep your dagger clean with Manscaped. Thank you, Manscaped. We appreciate you. All right. Sorry, everyone. Maybe I should read those before I get into them. That one required a little bit of acting to kick it off, so apologies. All right, man. So we're back to Kenobi here. We got more Kenobi, and this actually came out today. And this isn't leaking stuff. This is our boy Kumail Nanjiani. He got a nice write up in Rolling Stone, specifically for his work on Star Wars via the Kenobi series. And no, I do not pay for Rolling Stone, so I had to rely on Reddit and the people that parsed out some of his quotes. So if you did read the article, there may be more to it, but in terms of what we found Star Wars interesting, this is what we got for you. So hopefully a lot of you remember, Nick, we kind of broke this a few weeks back, courtesy of SW Props, who talked with Kumail, right?
Yes.
And
he's a friend of Kenobi.
Right. It's been established that he is a friend of Kenobi. But today, through this Rolling Stone interview, we actually get some interesting sound bites, word drops, whatever you want to say, Nick, that will allow us to kind of put on that speculation hat. All right. So I guess just the big lead here is Kumail describes his Kenobi character as a new version of a Star Wars archetype. In particular, Nick, he says, I was so excited about this character. We haven't seen this exact thing in Star Wars yet. This is like a new version of a type of Star Wars character we've seen before. All right, you got to parse that out because some people, you know, jump to conclusions like, oh, he's playing an no, listen to it. We haven't seen this exact thing in Star Wars yet. That's curious in and of itself, right? This exact thing. But then he says it's like a new version of a type of Star Wars character we've seen before. So, Nick, what the fuck is your take on that?
Yeah, at first I was wondering if he was more talking about like character archetypes than anything else, but he seems to be a little bit too literal with it. Like he's very literal. Like this is a new version of a type of Star Wars character.
That's what I mean.
It doesn't really seem like he's playing with archetypes. Like he's not like talking about like, oh, I'm going to be like a different kind of sidekick.
Right. Almost. I mean, he's saying it is a type of Star Wars character we've seen before, but it's a new version of that type. And I don't know, man. It's like my speculation brain starts to spin here. It's like I'm on some ice right now.
It would be really interesting if he's playing like an AI. Like if he's
beautiful. You motherfucker. Like, I think you might have nailed it because I mean I was like, could he be a robot, an alien sidekick, a loopy force user? I'm like, what are some archetypes we've seen before, but there'd be a new version of it, and I think Homeboy may have just fucking hit the nail on the head.
It would be interesting because like there's things that make me believe it's not an AI because like. I mean, there are like versions, like I guess you could say like any droid at this point in Star Wars is an AI. It's an artificial intelligence. Like more specifically, like K2SO is more of like a sentient AI independent type of droid than any of the other ones that we have.
Yeah, like if you want to get very literal, of course, but you know, we could also just think an AI truly is just software based, right?
Yeah,
like a screen talking to you.
Yeah, but then at some point he's like, oh, I was standing next to Ewan, and then the scene started, and then I was like, oh, I'm talking to Obi-Wan Kenobi now. So it's like he does kind of say a few things to kind of eschew it, but the way that he puts it, it's like it's a character that you've seen, but it's a new version. It's something like it's similar, but it's not the same. It's completely new. Like. An AI would be interesting because it's almost like I don't know. It would be different than like R2 or C-3PO or something
here
like
we go.
that.
It would be, and this actually just happened in the comics. It's the only reason I'm thinking about it. But in the most recent issue of the Star Wars comic, Lando kind of takes one for the team, and you can see he's finally starting to come to the Alliance. And no, I didn't do a recap. I took a random trip out to the beach. Who gives a shit? But anyways, I think we finally saw that, okay, yeah, Lando is starting to feel for the rebels and wanting to do the right thing. But anyways, back to Nick's point. What he does, Nick, to save the Falcon is a callback to Solo, where he starts talking to Leet.
Okay.
But they're not really she's not communicating to him because remember, once Leet gets dumped into the Falcon's Navicomputer, she loses, she doesn't talk anymore. It's just spits out computer code. Yeah. But Lando himself being, I guess, hell, maybe even former lover, right?
Yeah,
he's like, listen, L3, like, just don't do me like this one time. I know, come on, I know you're there. You got to help us. And it just so happens that the ship figures itself out. So I'm kind of, it's almost like that to where, droids are droids, but if they offload their AI or their consciousness, I know it's all weird things to use for a droid, but maybe that it could be something like that. I don't know.
It's complicated because like we've seen the alien sidekick, like we've seen a lot of different archetypes in Star Wars before. So for this to be like completely new, it would be interesting. And I'm like struggling to figure out if it's like, like I'm playing a new type of alien that we've never seen before, right. Which wouldn't be special for Star Wars. We see new aliens all the time. Like every movie that comes out, there's a new fucking alien in it. So not a big deal. But he's positioning it as like, this is something that you've never seen before.
I don't know, man. I think you fucking nailed it. I think you fucking nailed it. I really do. I think you're spot on. Because, I mean, think about it. Kenobi's sidekick is just software. That is perfect for the character of Kenobi because he didn't even like talking to, R4 or whatever the fuck his droid was. I mean, Kenobi for the most part hates machines. He hates flying. He hates ships. He didn't really, he was never that attached to R2 and 3PO, not like Anakin. I mean, look at how Anakin takes to R2. And R2 technically meets Obi-Wan first. Like, Obi-Wan wants nothing to do with these assholes. So I think my man is fucking spot on. And Kumail Nanjiani playing kind of a sidekicky AI that's got some one-liners, I think it's fucking perfect. I could 100% see these two either, Kenobi carries around Kumail's character in like a data pad or something, and that's the new type of sidekick we get.
Yeah. I think that would be fun. It would be a fun way to do it because
it checks all his boxes for the quote, if anything.
Yeah, like if you're Obi-Wan Kenobi, essentially who can you trust in the galaxy? Like you can't just be a barfly.
It'd be like his Siri, right? It almost like his character is almost like his Siri. Like, hey, Kumail, what's going on here? It's stuff like that. I don't know, man. I think you hit it. I'm at least I'll run with it. I'll give you the credit, but we usually like to kind of put our speculations in stone. I don't know if he's ready to do it yet, but I think Nick really figured this one out. I do. And it would.
It's a fun idea.
We have not seen this exact thing in Star Wars yet. Not that he's a thing. I think when he's saying thing, he's talking about just the scenario and the setup and the dynamic. Yeah. But being a new version of a type of Star Wars character, okay, there's always sidekicks. This, if he was just AI based, or not a robot, but something like that, even a hologram, that's something we've never seen before, but it is an existing archetype in Star Wars. So yeah, I'm running with it, man. I'll take that one to the bank. I think he fucking solved it.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty awesome. I think it would be a fun dynamic to play off of because it essentially gives Kenobi somebody to talk to that he can implicitly trust. Like, if this isn't like some sort of like cyborg that, or something like that, it's something that he literally like has like control of, for lack of a better term, then he could be like his constant companion.
Yeah, he'll become like Joaquin and Her, right?
I was saying that movie Her.
But anyway, so I mean, he went on and described some other stuff, and I still don't think it cancels out Nick's prediction here because I mean, he goes on to talk like, I guess before acting with Ewan, he was told like my character is supposed to be a little bit intimidated by him, and Kumail's like, I was a little bit intimidated. It's fucking Obi-Wan. What are you gonna do? So I still think that plays into him possibly being like a hologram or a non-corporeal character or a droid character. I'm liking this. And then last but not least, he describes kind of a scene. All right, so he's talking about, you really feel like you're there. The first scene we shot, it was Star Wars outside the windows with aliens walking around and ships flying by and all this stuff. But the rest of it just looked like a warehouse. So I did a couple of takes, and Ewan was like, none of this is real. I knew the windows weren't real, but the walls weren't either. I looked, and I was like, wow, the walls are projected. The only thing that was real in the whole room was the desk I was sitting at. It was wild. It was really, really exciting. I love shoot, blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know. I mean, is his character really sitting there? Is it a hologram sitting at this desk? I like I said, I still think Nick's prediction could play out even with some of these revelations here.
I could almost see it like going into other sci-fi franchises, like being like a Cylon, for lack of a better term, like a near human AI that looks human.
Okay.
For all intents and purposes, but is not human. Like, we've never seen that in Star Wars. The closest you get is Lobot, but Lobot is a human that just got jacked up by, the Techno Union and stuff. So like, really, you've never seen a true cyborg in Star Wars where it's like a human exterior, but it's AI based, and the interior workings are all mechanical. Yeah,
because I believe Valance, who's a bounty hunter, so I'm in War of the Bounty Hunters, so I think he's canon, but I believe he's not. He's more traditional cyborg, where there is some like flesh and guts still in there, kind of like, not as far as Grievous went, but yes, he has repulsor hands and shit like that, but
I guess android would be the better term, right? Like, what's Data? Like, Data is an android in Star Trek, right? Yeah, mm-hmm. that's more what I was going. Not necessarily cyborg, but like android, as in it is a fully mechanical being with an AI brain where it can think and make decisions on its
self-aware, own. Right?
It's self-aware. But the exterior husk of it, for lack of a better term, is a human skin, like, something like that.
It still works, man. I still think you are. I mean, I was like, oh, robot, but that's been seen before. I think you're on there. I mean, either pure AI or, like you said, Android based would be a new thing. But also a different way to kind of play this Star Wars sidekick archetype. And I think, I do think, even if he's not what Nick is saying and what I am backing up Nick saying, I have a feeling that Kumail is going to get taken along this adventure begrudgingly with Kenobi. Something's going to require them to work together, even though neither probably wants to work with someone else.
Yeah.
we know Kenobi doesn't. I mean, he doesn't like anyone. Look what he did to his apprentice. As Filoni said, the reason Anakin's fucked up is because Obi-Wan never wanted to fucking deal with this asshole in the first place. It was lumped on him. So he kind of approached it from the guise of, I'm only doing this because I know my master wanted it. He wasn't coming from the right place to train the supposed chosen one. All right. I like that. I like that.
Could be interesting.
Man, damn it. We need to see some footage. We need more leaks now. I've emptied my Kenobi leak, and Nick just fucking put a cherry on top there. I love that. I love it. Android or AI, I'm with you, man. I really do think you're onto something. All right, so our last little topic before we get into the fan segment and the big time reveal of the winner of the SWTS giveaway, hashtag that is. For you words and shitters, I actually think you're getting some meaty novels coming your way that are going to span all three eras, so prequel, OT, and sequel. And I would imagine they're canon based because they're all coming from Lucasfilm. But like I said, these 4 books, and I think Nick, they dropping? Are they 2022 or the end of this year? I think November actually.
I believe that they are 20. Let's see.
Yeah, pre-order details.
Pre-order details. Let's get to it. 2022 for Shadow of the Sith.
Okay, yeah. So it is. These are all
2022.
2022. All right. So, anyways. You're getting 4 novels, and if I actually liked reading, I think 2 or 3 of these have potential to be fantastic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shadow of the Sith. This one, based on the write-up, I'm not going to read the summary, but to me, this is going to tell the tale that sets up the Pisana events, the Ochi stuff, the dagger stuff in The Rise of Skywalker, because this Shadow of the Sith is literally going to follow Luke and Lando as they both kind of have their own missions. Like Lando is trying to figure out who kidnapped his daughter. Luke is, he has an idea that there's some sort of Sith fuckery going around. So they're going to link up and deal with Ochi of Bestoon and kind of figure out what's going on there. So those that wanted some of that backstory that Lando talks about in The Rise of Skywalker, like, hey, Luke and I were blah, 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 and Ochi of Bestoon, all that shit. Shadow of the Sith is going to reveal that for you. So I'm sure it's going to cover, Nick, how Ochi ends up in that quicksand and dies and this, that, and the other thing.
Like the quicksand stuff is definitely going to be in there.
How his ship gets left there. And
yeah. I think this one, to me, is probably the most interesting because, in my opinion, we need this type of content to really give context and fill in those gaps in the sequel trilogy. And like with time, if you feed enough information through novels or whatever else into the sequel trilogy era, then it'll become better overall.
It'll experience the prequel effect, right, Nick?
Exactly.
with time and new content and new writers, you can eventually make the old better.
You can patch some of the holes up with it and then make it a little bit more palatable. And I think this is a good first step because it's giving you Jedi Master Luke before he's this husk of a person that we see in the sequel trilogy. You're getting good Lando because really you don't have a lot of Lando content even in the prequel era. You don't have a lot of Lando even in the sequel era. There wasn't great amounts of Lando outside of just like a few scenes with him. So like having some more Lando in there is definitely going to be good. And then it says as Ochi hunts Rey and her parents to the edge of the galaxy. So you get to, I assume here is you get a little bit more insight into Rey's family dynamic before she's abandoned on
Jakku. Hell, maybe even that. I mean, maybe even that is fleshed out. So, like I said, those that do like to read, I think these 4 books have great potential. With Shadow of the Sith probably being one of the more engaging ones to me, because I love lore, learn about lore, and it is the sequels, they are what they are. They disappointed in the end, but I still would love some backstory for some of those tales. Why the fuck not? I mean, for Christ's sakes, after The Force Awakens, I decided to give my daughter the middle name of Rey. I was heavily invested in the fucking sequels, okay? So anything to, as Nick said, to kind of pad them out a bit more, maybe plug some holes or add a little insight into some of the narratives they discussed is A-okay with me.
Yeah.
Up next, Brotherhood. This is one that is going to be in the prequel era. In particular, it's going to cover the tales of Anakin and Obi-Wan with a specific payoff on a line used in the prequels where we're going to see what these two get into on Cato Nemoidia, right?
I believe the exact line was like, "Oh, that business on Cato Nemoidia doesn't count," when they were talking about like who owes the other. It's like, oh, now I owe you or something like that. So
this tale, Brotherhood, I think even beyond that, but it's going to flesh out just that little line. And for a dork like me, Nick, I love that type of shit where you get one little line casually spoken in the prequels, and now 20 plus years later, here we are. It's going to get a full-on novel dedicated to it, while also probably diving deeper into the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan at this point in time. Because we are going to see some Anakin at the rank of Jedi Knight within this book. So he's not just Padawan.
Yeah, the players involved in this one are good. I mean, you have Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ventress. So you get a lot of the fan favorites, obviously from the Clone Wars era. And then, this story, apparently this, whatever happened on Cato Neimoidia was good enough to get an entire novel written about it. So that's pretty cool. So,
I'm like, man, I wish someone was making movies out of these, because I would like to watch this stuff.
That would have been even this would have been cool, like a cool hour and 20 minute long animated something,
Oh, well.
The next one is more of like an anthology series. It's called Stories of Jedi and Sith. And it really is kind of it takes the approach of shorter stories about legendary Jedi and Sith struggles between the light and dark that have happened throughout the ages in Star Wars. It says it's a middle grade anthology, so this is not going to be like an adult
dummies like me
novelization or anything like that.
See Luke run, see Leia jump. Leia jumps high.
Exactly. And there's 10 different authors with different tales from the saga's most popular characters, it says. So you got Luke, you got Vader, you got Obi, you got Asajj Ventress, and many others that will be involved in this anthology series. And the last one here, Padawan by Kirsten White. This is another, I guess this would be like another middle-aged / like young adult novelization. And it's about Obi as a Padawan, so it's not about Anakin as a Padawan. Yep. So when he was under the tutelage of Qui-Gon, and you'll see a lot of their adventures from a Obi-Wan Padawan perspective. So for me, definitely the top two, Brotherhood and Shadow of the Sith, seemed like the two that I could really sink my teeth into. Before we went live, I told Matt that since reading the trilogy, the new Thrawn trilogy, I'd really kind of fallen off of the books. I tried to read the first Chaos Rising novel, and it just wasn't nearly as good as the proper Thrawn trilogy that was released by Zahn in new canon. And then even the Light of the Jedi, and I know that a lot of people here have either read it or listened to it, and I got like halfway through it, and it just didn't grab me. And I know that, oftentimes what happens with a lot of these novel series is that the first book is kind of a slow burn, and then once you get past it, it really picks up. I've seen it happen in other Star Wars series too, but it just, maybe in the coming, whoever knows how long, coming years, I will eventually pick it up and finish it. But yeah, it's one of those things that I'm hoping that these two novels here will pull me back into the expanded universe novels.
Yeah, I might contemplate some audio versions of this. Well, hell, it looks like they are hitting next summer. And if my favorite person to listen to takes his summer break again, it'll be perfect. I'll just listen to it once Stern goes off the air for 8 weeks or whatever he did, and there we go, get him in there. But I'm with Nick, and that's why I was like, you know what, I'm going to fucking post this, because while they're books, and that's not really my bag, the content, I think, is ripe for some pretty excellent Star Wars lore and new canon to be delivered. So keep an eye out. Those that do read it, let us know what happens, because I'm sure as we say we're going to read it, we're just bullshitting you. We're not going to fucking read this stuff. So
I have now admitted that I'm not reading.
Yeah,
I tried to. I really did. I tried to, and it just didn't grab me. But hey, I know you never know. Maybe this Shadow of the Sith will really pique my interest.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe you'll be a big fan of the writings of Adam Christopher. Maybe he will speak to you differently than was that Zahn? You don't like Zahn's Thrawn shit. So.
Well, it was Soul.
Oh, okay, Soule.
Zahn's Thrawn, the original Zahn, like the one that just came out, the proper Thrawn trilogy that just came out in canon was great, but the Chaos Rising one, like the younger Thrawn really just didn't get there.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'll give it a try. That's all I can say is I'll give it a try.
Real quick before we move on, Tones kind of brings up a good point here, and who knows, but he's like, Andor never gets a look these days, and that's up after Bob. And we don't really know the schedule. I know some people were flinging around last week, and we didn't cover because it was one of those like wild rumors that they may be holding on to Kenobi for May for like the Star Wars Day debut, like they did with Bad Batch. But you would, I don't know, Andor, I feel like Andor and Kenobi wrapped very closely to each other.
Yeah, and well, also, you have to remember, like a few months ago, like it was nonstop Andor leaks.
Well, I think
like,
he's saying more like plot stuff. It's almost like it's almost been the opposite, where we didn't get to see shit from the sets of Kenobi, but
we got
the sources are talking a lot more, and they're providing a lot more on-set kind of descriptions. Where Andor, they're like, hey, fuck it, world, check us out. Yet no plot has really come out. So it's
I would
interesting.
rather it the Andor way. I'd rather it where you get to like see the sets and see some of the setup and stuff like that, but not know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, I know it's a fine line we walk here. I mean, I'm with you. I don't necessarily like seeing some of the shit that we've seen with the Boba one probably being the worst grievance we've laid on people yet. Because really the other stuff, I mean, sources, schmorses, and descriptions, conniptions, it's like, okay, there's a lot of wiggle room with that type of stuff. When it's like, oh, hey, yeah, this is the scene as described to us. Look, it's like, okay, shit, that doesn't leave much room to the imagination. So, oh well. All right, Nick, I forgot. What the fuck? Are we announcing the winner now?
We're gonna announce the winner of it
all
now.
Right. I knew it. I was testing you.
Yes. You were right.
All right. So, before we break into the fan segment proper, we are ready to unveil the top one. The winner of the first ever and now infamous Star Wars Time Show giveaway. All right. If we actually had a proper show, I would cue up the timpani drums, right? But we don't. Thank you, Nick. All right. So here we go. After the 5 and then down to the 3, the winner of the first ever Star Wars Time Show giveaway, which includes the Star Wars Time Show hat official, right? It's even been sitting in Star Wars Time Show HQ for like a year. So it's got Star Wars Time HQ dust and cat hair on it. You're going to get one of those. You're going to get the Black Series Jaxxon figure. You're going to get, from the Vintage Collection, the Mandalorian, the Armorer, and the Grogu. And that's not all. You're also going to get a GorillaPod 325 from Joby. So, quite the prize package. All right, so without further ado, the winner taking home the goods is... The Many Roads We Travel. Nick, I will let you describe the winner and why they were chosen.
Yes. So the reason we chose this winner, Amber Rhodes, was because just like Matt experienced in his life not too long ago, and just like George Lucas has told us many times in the past, Star Wars is about what? Family. It's about family. And the story that Amber wrote in her post about having movie days back in middle school and then sharing her love of Star Wars and everything with her child and everything around that with her husband. And it was just a great story that really does encapsulate one, the Star Wars experience as a whole very well, and then two, something that's even very close to near and dear to Matt's life recently very well. And I just thought that really captured the essence of what we're trying to get out of this competition. Like we said, it's not an art competition. Amber did not post an art picture or anything like that. She posted a picture of her and her son or her child. I don't know if it's a son or a daughter. I don't want to speak out of turn there. But I just thought it was a great post. It was a great story. And it really does kind of hit at all the things that we wanted to see in this giveaway. And all of you toy photographers have enough plastic crap already. You don't need any more Burkhead. You don't need any more Kingdom.
That
weird,
was the tipping point. Nick's like, you know what? Let's get the little kid some figures, and
the kid. Yes, let the child play with some of these toys.
You made the right call. I mean, again, this I loved, like I said, Kingdom of Weird. I think tackled the assignment from a toy photographer's perspective the best, because there was multiple submissions, and each photo was a depiction of the feeling that Andy was kind of talking about and why he likes Star Wars. And then, Burkhead did the same thing, a great little scene while also explaining why they love Star Wars. But, the family won out, and Nick did make a good point. Let's get the little one, the family here. A few figures, you never know. Nick could be creating the next great collector in the community.
Yeah, the next great photographer, collector, whatever. This is it's a cool thing to have some Star Wars toys thrown your way, and I feel like this little kid's gonna get some good use out of them. So. And fear not, we'll do it again. It's not like anyone buys these hats, so I've got at least 4 or 5 more to give away. So we'll definitely think about another one here. I don't know, maybe end of year or beginning of 2022. But I'm like, you know what? I can use giveaways to start purging myself of shit that all the other
that I have down in my basement. I'm being serious. Like it's time. I need to. They might not be brand new, but I'm sure most fans wouldn't balk at getting a bundle of Black Series figures or in this, that, and the other thing. So we had fun. We'll keep it up. I would love to see more submissions the next time, but we will be doing it. All right, it will be happening. We're going to do this again because it was just great as a Star Wars fan myself, seeing people kind of take the challenge and run. But more importantly, I loved reading everyone's anecdotes more than anything. So thanks to everyone. Congrats to Amber and the family. We'll be reaching out through Instagram to kind of get some details to get the swag sent your way. But thank you, everyone. May the Force be with you. All right. Woo. We did it. We gave something away. Just like last year, our big thing was finally getting a store and hats going. This year, our big thing was
giving away the hats.
I know Adam wants a hat. We'll figure out a way to get a hat out there. Like I said, I should just take the hats out of the store and just use hats for giveaways moving forward. So thanks again, everyone. Yeah. We love you, even if you hate us. All right.
Yes, thank you all for entering the competition.
Moving in the fan segment to round things out here for E183, we're going to go ahead and start with the fan question of the week. If you are new, we do a fan segment every show because we love you. We know that, we don't well, I guess we technically exist, but we don't really get the platform and the response from like-minded Star Wars individuals without our fans. So we do a fan segment every show. We start off with the fan question of the week responses. So every Tuesday, sometime in the morning, I will put the prompt out there. You can reply either through our stories or leave a comment on the post. And then on the show every Tuesday during the fan segment, we will read 5 of the responses. So that is what we're going to get into now. And upcoming soon, I will explain how you can get involved in our next fan dedicated segment. All right, Nick, so the question of the week this week was, as always, very timely and poignant to the topics we discuss on the show. And it was, let me get it up here, or not.
With the recent leaks in mind, are you more excited for Book of Boba Fett or Kenobi series?
There we go. All right, now it's up on the screen. Okay, so
there we go.
I think I have to take the first one because they're from the stories and Nick doesn't know who they are, but this is our buddy.
I can't tell from the picture.
Our buddy and one of my personal favorite stop motion filmmakers out there, and that's SW Black Series Clips. If you haven't seen his latest, I don't know, man. I love... It's not even like toilet humor stuff, but it's still kind of like caveman stuff. He did a wonderful stop motion, kind of showing us why Han tells the droids in A New Hope that you don't want to fuck with a Wookiee when he's playing Djarik because they're known to rip people's arms off. So Black, SW Black Series clips brought that to life in stop motion using Black Series figures. And it's just, there's something beautiful about watching a little Chewbacca figure go around screaming and ripping other action figures' arms off and then having blood spray out of it. So anyways, that's just a plug for SW Black Series clips and what they do with stop motion. Good stuff. Anyways, okay, so I think I'm still more excited to see what they do with Book of Boba. Kenobi is going to be badass, don't get me wrong, but I'm curious to see the direction they take with Boba here. Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of curiosity around Book of Boba.
Yeah, we said as much, right? We're like, are they going to make him somewhat of a shithead? Does the vengeance play in like we've been told? You just don't know. So yeah, there's definitely a lot more. What the fuck's going on here, Slack?
Oh no. I think, what are you trying to get to the next one?
Well, yeah, for some reason, whatever, I figured it out. All right, there you go, Nick. Arc Trooper Collector.
Yes, ARC Trooper Collector says, while it's exciting to see Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan, Book of Boba takes place in a time period that hasn't been fully explored aside from Mandalorian, and having the character as a clean slate leaves it for more interesting stories and ways to take the character. In Kenobi, however, we know Obi-Wan as a character thanks to 4 movies and the animated series. So many people have an expectation of this character in mind, and knowing Disney just makes me more worried about the series than excited. Okay. That was a long sentence. That was all one sentence. That wasn't even.
Yeah, you took a pause, Nick. I'm disappointed you didn't try to make yourself pass out reading that. But yeah,
I was like, oh my God, I got to stop here at some point. So basically, what he's saying is that he does not trust Disney to do Mr. Hello There correctly. Okay, is what I'm gaining out of this. So. Hey, it's a legitimate concern.
There you go.
Next up, Journal of the Wills says, I'm more invested in Kenobi as a character than in the few tales, canon, and legends that have covered this part of his life. Even though I like what I'm hearing, I'm still much more wary about the Kenobi show than Boba. With Boba, I can just go with the flow. I'm not hugely into Boba as a character, but I know I'll enjoy it. With Kenobi, there are too many things that I love to see or don't want to see.
Interesting.
By the time Kenobi comes around, I'll probably have managed my expectations. Trailers, etc. will probably help. But right now, I'm a little nervous about it. So that's the second one, nervous about Kenobi.
I know. I guess I don't quite understand that. Like, I'm fucking pumped to see Kenobi. Yeah. There's no nerves like, oh no, they're gonna. I guess I'm just not a fan that goes into Star Wars stuff with kind of a negative mindset, which is odd when you think about who I am as a person, where I live in the fucking negative. Like I wake up basically going, like who could I fucking yell at today?
Yeah, I think like for a lot of people who were heavily into the EU, which Journal of the Wills probably was, you just have to let that go. Like you have to let it go because that's what he called out. He says, canon and legends stuff has covered it. Like you got to let it go. I went into TFA really loving the Jaina Jason Solo angle and everything that was built in the old EU too. But like I went in, I was like, it's likely not going to be that. And
all right, fair enough.
You just gotta wipe that slate clean. Sith Photo Lab says, I'm going with Boba on this one as we do not know Kenobi. How his story ends. People just fucking hate Kenobi. Now we know. Don't do any more Kenobi content. Don't get me wrong. Kenobi is going to be epic from what we know. And there's a lot of his story left to be told. Yet we all know how his story ends. I mean, do we really? Because nobody's ever really dead in Star Wars, Because I've heard that episode 10 is going to be Kenobi in a zombie body, and he's going to come back to life, and he's going to train Rey's daughter.
As Vision Ultron.
Yes, exactly. Zane Reeves Visions, to close out the question of the week, says, Book of Boba, Kenobi is more or less a clean-cut Jedi who's grounded in his Jedi morals. As a bounty hunter with a sense of honor, and now the new crime lord, Boba's character is in a gray zone.
Well,
I really want to see...
That's kind of what we hit on.
Yeah. I really want to see where it'll take the new crime organization formerly run by the Hutts and Fortuna. So yeah, I mean, everybody wants Boba. Everybody's a Boba Fett homer.
According to that concept art, it's going to open with him being like, yeehaw, motherfucker! He's on a Rancor, coming through and punching out the bunch of assholes he used to hate.
Dude, that would be hilarious. You know, it'd be funny if he just had a Rancor ranch. It wasn't even like he's like, he doesn't actually go and fuck people up with it. He's just got a bunch of Rancors.
He's like Kumail. He's like Kumail in The Mandalorian training blurgs, right? He becomes a Rancor trainer, and that's what kicks off the Book of Boba Fett.
Somebody steals one of his Rancors.
Yeah, and he's like, no, I loved her.
I got it. It's just like John Wick, except somebody
there you go.
steals his
Rancor or kills the Rancor. There you go.
Rancor.
You got
That's the whole deal.
All right.
Oh man, good stuff. All right, so now is the time to move into the top 5 Star Wars fan arts features of the week. And as Matt tells you every week, to get involved in this little shindig, you need to use the hashtag Star Wars Time Show on all of your toy photography posts or any art posts that you do that are related to Star Wars, and tag us at Star Wars Time Show on the Instagram, preferably. That is where we do all of our business, on the Instagram.
That's right.
So first up this week, 529J at 529_J has definitely been one of my favorites recently.
He speaks to you, I think, Nick. It speaks to me too.
Does.
I mean, he gets featured by me, and that's how it makes it to you. But Jay, to me, is probably one of the best creatives when it comes to what I call hashtag Star Wars humor, right?
Yes, I agree with that. Like, he's really good at these creative, humorous shots, these crossover shots, mashups. Exactly. So what we see here in this shot is a beautiful moonlight dance between Kylo Ren and Rey on top of a building in what looks to be New York City, because you can see the Empire State Building there in the background. And it's for those that are really of the Reylos out there, they used to call themselves, the people who were all about
it's also
the Kylo
play
Ren
on
love.
La La Land, like the La La Land poster, Nick, where you had homegirl and homeboy literally dancing like this. So
dancing in the moonlight. Yeah. So it's a fun shot.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
In the pale moonlight, right? But yeah, it's a fun shot here with TLJ. I believe this is TLJ Kylo and Rey. TLJ Rey.
Correct.
So fun stuff there at 529_J.
I just
Well done.
You just look at Kylo, and you can actually envision
the way he's like looking into her eyes.
You could envision like Adam doing this though. Like I could actually see him pulling this off. I mean, the dude's a legit actor. What's he coming up in that I kind of want to watch? It's with Affleck and Damon,
Duel.
right? Yeah,
the last duel.
Yeah,
I've heard good things. About
oh boy,
that,
I know who did this next one.
This next one here. Oh yes, we all know this man at Daz Tibbles with just a mind-blowingly good Kenobi poster that he just pulled out of his head. So you see Kenobi there as one of the main focuses, and then you also see one of the, what is this, the fifth brother?
Well,
I can't remember.
Nick, he's giving us what his interpretation of what Sung Kang's going to look like as an Inquisitor. So is it fifth brother? Then here we go. This, honestly, this would be like if we were cool and Daz was like our in-house artist. When we were talking about Sung being the fifth brother, we would have commissioned him to make this right here.
It's like, hey man, just draw it up. Draw it. What will this look like? We need to get a SWNN type of person on staff here that can just draw all of our ideas or all of our leaks. But no, I mean, this one's fantastic. I mean, you can even look in there and you can see the helmet. Like look on like Kenobi's like right side, that's Enfys Nest's helmet right there.
Yep.
It looks like. Mm-hmm. And then you also see the Vader helmet. You got the Lars Homestead here.
We see the little boy standing on the pit looking at the two sons.
Yep. And then this looks like it's the Chimera, the
Thrawn
Star
ship.
Destroyer that's in this shot. Yeah, because you could, the underside of Thrawn's ship, the Chimera, has that artwork underneath it. So I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, this looks like as Star Wars official as it gets, but that's how stuff from Daz Tibbles looks. It looks choice every time. So I mean,
easily. I mean, one of the best. I mean, Mount Rushmore in terms of Star Wars fan artists. I mean, Daz Tibbles is just does godly things with his mind and hands.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least with art. I don't know what the hell else he does with his mind and hands. That's godly, but at least with art.
Yeah, with art, he's definitely up there. Other things, maybe someday we'll find out.
I mean, I haven't just looked at his page in forever, but I'm sure it's loaded with nothing but excellence. Yeah, close-ups of the poster. He's got a little Suicide Squad piece on there.
Yep, Suicide Squad.
He's got Ninth Jedi. A lot of great. I mean, he did probably some of the best Visions fan art I saw when Visions hit. He's got posters, I think, for each one. Just fantastic shit, man. That's Daz. We all know it, but if you are new here, check him out at Daz Tibbles. Nothing but pure gold on that page.
Absolutely. Next up is at sentimental _ scoundrel on Instagram, and it is a sentimental scoundrel shot. You see Mr. Han Solo standing there in the sand, and he's just kind of like staring off into the distance. A very sentimental pose.
It's a scoundrel looking sentimental for sure. You are right.
It is a namesake photo, and I just thought, I mean, it's just a very poignant shot of Han, and you don't really get a lot of poignant shots of Han.
No,
it's mostly him being suave or badass or something like that.
Exactly. Like, you don't look at Han as a thinker or a ponderer, you know what I mean? And that's what you're getting in the shot. Like, he's very stoic. I don't know if it's the scarf, Nick, or the pose, the lighting, but this is the most serious I think I've ever seen Han Solo, even more so than when he's literally frozen in carbonite and can't kind of be the goof that we know him to be. I just putting a scarf on Han Solo. Who would have thought that it would result in just some fantastic looking toy photography?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's as simple as that. And I mean, having the Falcon there in the background on Tatooine, where essentially his crazy ass journey began, just like everybody else's. I mean, what a great shot! What a good thought-evoking shot.
He does not look like a scruffy looking nerf herder at all. Like, he just does not look like that goof, that dick at times. He looks like a completely different character. This is a what if Han, right? This is a what if Han Solo.
Very true. Very true. Good stuff here at sentimental _ scoundrel. Next up, we have a fantastic shot of, I mean, this is not Tross Kylo. This might be TLJ Kylo from like the smock he's wearing underneath his cape, but this is from at photog.raffy, photog.raffy on Instagram, and it's a scene. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily scene creation, but it's Kylo staring down at his helmet, and again, it's just kind of like another provoking shot of Kylo. This could be like right before he smashes his helmet in the elevator scene in TLJ after Snoke calls him out on his weakness. But the shot of Kylo is just top notch. I mean, I really like the environment and everything.
To me, this one, I had to do a double take. Like, is this a fucking still? Like, is this a scene still? Because, I mean, I believe this is a Hot Toys, like Nick said. So, naturally, the subject is going to look pretty fucking juicy, right? Pretty correct. But I don't know. It's just, it's the right tone for this shot. And as Nick said, it's like a pondering, a thought type of portrait. You know, no action going on here. Maybe Photog was going for the scene where the helmet's being rebuilt and just didn't give us the red lines, because it looks like you could argue that those are Knights of Ren arms next to Kylo in frame there, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's just like I said, when I came across this shot doing my dailies, I was like, holy shit. I mean, this could be Adam Driver in the flesh.
No, it does. It really looks like a real person standing there, which all credit to the lighting and the
100% lighting. The lighting's perfect in the shot. Nick, to me, it's a shot where it almost kind of brings up some of the sequel regrets with this character in particular. It's like, man, this was the guy. Like they were putting a lot of fucking effort into this character. And again, like most of them, just kind of finished his story. It's like, all right, didn't seem that natural a progression, but whatever. I mean, Kylo was probably one of the more fleshed out, but when you see shots like this, like Vader, I want to know more about what's going on in this guy's head. And hopefully we'll get that in Kenobi, because I think that'll be magic.
Yes, indeed. So at Photog Rafi on IG. And the last one for the top 5. I mean, like, how do you not put this in here? So what we see is
poor Grogu.
A dog just ripping Grogu's ear off, just literally, like, ear and mouth ripping it out of his head. Physically, it is being ripped off by, what is that, a lab or a... So it almost looks like a Cocker Spaniel.
There you go.
But I'm not sure. Yeah. From at Figure Hertz, and look, sometimes we do back-to-back top 5s. I believe Figure Hertz was a top 5er last week as well.
With this Grogu. I mean, he's getting some legs out of this Grogu.
This Grogu's getting him a lot of mileage for sure, but this shot, it's just too good to not put up there. I mean, like, how do you not make the top 5 with a shot of your dog ripping Grogu's ear off? Like, it's just
it's perfect. Not even, Nick, I mean, I don't want people to think like I'm a psycho. It's not even that Grogu is having his ear ripped off. It's the practicality of it, right? Getting a dog to play along, using the effects on Grogu to, I don't know if it's putty or whatnot, but it looks like you can see like sinew and other tissues being ripped out. But I think my favorite part, Nick, is Grogu's face the whole time. And then at the very last slide, I have it on the live stream now, when it's fully ripped off, he's just like, like the whole time. It's just like he's not crying or mad. He's just like, oh fuck, like what the fuck's happening here? Something's ripping my ear off.
State of shock. Just doesn't know how to handle it.
In the last shot, he's like looking right at camera like, oh fuck, I think something's missing from the side of my head. I don't know. I love it.
Oh man, it's great stuff. It's great stuff from that Figure Hertz. And I mean, you kind of hit on all of the beats on why this really makes it in the top 5. Fully practical, down to like the paint, the putty, whatever he uses, actually getting his dog to do this. I mean, I'm assuming that what he did was he just took like one of those like rawhide bones and painted it green. So his dog obviously just wanted to eat it anyway.
I don't know, man. I mean, this is the Hot Toys 1-to-1 scale Grogu, and I think that's the fucking ear.
That's just the actual ear.
Maybe he'll let us know, because that was another thing. I was like, man, it's impressive that he's even willing to let a dog possibly chew into this. But I'd imagine it's like you can see the dog's eyes looking, so I'd imagine he had someone either keeping its attention or getting it to turn its head. I know Plastic Action has done some cool dog shots. It's just, I don't know. I like the way this guy thinks at Figure Hertz, because the one we did a week or two ago, if not last week, was another full practical where he created a smashed ice cream cone that Grogu slaps on Din's helmet. And then this one, it's the thought process that I appreciate at Figure Hertz, and then the fact that he can bang it out once he comes up with the idea, banging it out, using a dog, using a high-end collectible, and really going for full practical effects here.
Yeah. Fantastic stuff. At Figure Hertz on the IG. And that's the end of the top 5. And that's the end of the show. So Matt, why don't you take us home, bring us in with the dance.
You got it. Here we go. I'm shaking on the screen if you can see me, if you tune into the live stream. If not, give it a try one time. You can even watch it recorded. You don't have to be here during the middle of the day, because we know most people probably aren't available on a Tuesday afternoon to watch the show live. It doesn't matter. We're here. We've made it to the end. Now it's time to learn you on all things StarWarsTime.net. That's right, StarWarsTime.net. That's what we're looking at right now on the screen. It's our home base, and the reason you need to know about it is, well, this is where our topics come from. You can kind of see what we may be thinking for an upcoming show. But for you, if you're new, or if you're just lazy and you're a longtime fan, it has all of our jump-off points to the various platforms the show can be found on for the audio-only delivery, as well as our YouTube channel. If you don't want to go to StarWarsTime.net for YouTube, you could just search it right in YouTube. Will show up, or YouTube.com/StarWarsTime show. And why should you be doing all this? Well, the fandos know. There's always time for Star Wars time. If you're new, hopefully you'll get there. You'll understand. There isn't a single day that goes by at SWTS where we're not focused on the Star Wars, all right? Because there truly is always time for Star Wars time. So get out there, StarWarsTime.net. Tell a friend, tell a dog. Hell, we just featured a dog on the cast. You never know. But convince them to loop into the Star Wars Time show by going to StarWarsTime.net. And if they do subscribe to either YouTube or a podcast platform, we'd love for you to tell them, or if you are new, rate the show, review the show, or if you're on YouTube, sub to the channel, do the thumbs up, and click on the little alarm bell. All right? We need you. We speak your names, so in turn, we need you to speak our name. Because if you listen to the Star Wars Time show, the Force will be with you always.